This year again, the championship will be contested over 20 rounds from 10 meetings. Remember, the rounds this time will be exactly the same length, with a compulsory pit stop in every race. The action for 2003 started at Mondello Park in Ireland. The April showers ensured a wet surface, and that promised an action-packed start to the season. Matt Neal and Ivan Muller dominated qualifying to stake their claim on the front row of the grid. Muller 0.4 ahead of Neal. Third was Reid, and the champion James Thompson was fourth. Alan Morrison in fifth, Warren Hughes in sixth. No ballast restrictions, remember, as this is the first round of the championship. Ninth place, Tom Chilton.
So we're all set to go now for the first round of the championship. Ivan Muller from pole position, Matt Neal alongside him. It's Vauxhall versus Honda. Who's it going to be into the first corner? Ivan Muller makes a very good start indeed. Matt Neal slots into second place. James Thompson on the right-hand side trying to come through on the outside now. The MG's getting in there as well. Anthony Reid and Warren Hughes, but a great start from Ivan Muller, who leads them through Dunlop, gets a little bit of a nudge from Matt Neal. There's a nudge as well from Anthony Reid, but somehow they all just make it through safely. Oh, and Phil Bennett's in trouble. Big slide from Phil Bennett.
Yeah, a lot of argy-bargy at the first corner, and Thompson was really the loser. He went round the outside, didn't find any grip, and both Anthony Reid and Matt Neal got in front of him.
Ivan Muller then making the most of that pole position. Anthony Reid in the MG, managing to get ahead of the Honda of Matt Neal. These cars also evenly matched in qualifying yesterday. Let's see what happened to Phil Bennett a moment ago.
Well, Bennett has a big slide, and Leslie, his teammate, spins in avoidance.
Oh, so not good news for the Protons. That was the view from onboard Michael Bentwood in the production class BMW. Somehow he managed to avoid what could have been a lot of carnage. Ivan Muller has the advantage. Anthony Reid, these two have pulled away a little bit from the battle for third place. Matt Neal in the Honda under pressure from James Thompson. There's Warren Hughes getting down the inside of the Honda of Alan Morrison. On board with Warren Hughes, and it's all getting pretty tight out there. This is the battle for the lead in the production class. Michael Bentwood has just got ahead of Tom Boardman.
Well, the wipers are going, the rain's coming down, it's getting tougher and tougher, and this could be a very good stop by the Proton here to get some wets on the car early.
So Phil Bennett heads back out of the pit lane, and meanwhile we're watching the battle that continues between Matt Neal and James Thompson. These two fighting over third place currently. The reigning champion, James Thompson, didn't get off the line too well, but now wanting to find a way past Matt Neal. Oh, and Thompson's gone off. That was Thompson sliding off in the background.
He's just got into the corner a little bit too quick, and the rears have come round on him. He's lucky to keep that going.
Alan Blenko also a victim to these conditions. It's so slippery. Let's take another look at what happened to Thompson.
Well, Thompson locks up a little bit. The car goes off backwards, but listen to that throttle as James plants it to bring the front of the car around and just keep the car going through the gravel.
Wow, he did well to get out of it, didn't he? It's so slippery, but of course they don't want to come in and change onto wet tyres yet. They will have to come into the pits after lap number 10 when the pit lane opens. But in fact, Thompson's decided, I'm not waiting till then, I need wet tyres now.
Yeah, he's losing too much time. He's been off already. He's gambled on taking 4 tyres now, 4 wet tyres. He will, of course, still have to make his compulsory 2-tyre stop when the pit window opens.
Now back with the leaders, Ivan Muller and Anthony Reid, and they're coming into the pits now. So they've decided they also need wet tyres fitted.
Well, they've probably seen how quick the other cars that have already changed are, and they just figure it's a simple maths equation. They'll lose too much time.
Yeah, the conditions not making life any easier for Michael Bentwood. Look at the way his windscreen's misted up, and he's hit Luke Hines, that is. I don't know if you can even see Luke Hines through that windscreen, but poor Luke Hines off into the gravel. These guys will have to stop again during this period between laps 10 and 18, and indeed coming straight in, James Thompson as the safety car comes out. Now this really could work for Thompson.
Well, that was so fortuitous, but perfect for James. He's in the pits. This will count as his compulsory pit stop. He's not going to lose too much track time when he comes back out because the safety car's holding everyone up. Absolutely perfect.
Well, perfect as long as the team gets the job done right. Just the front tyres they're changing this time. Not quite ready with that outside front, and behind him Paul O'Neill waiting for his opportunity to make his compulsory pit stop. Still a good, effective and quick stop for James Thompson, and with the safety car coming out, that's just about perfect for him.
Yeah, anyone that stops absolutely at this instant will gain a lot, and those who have still to stop will have to drop back.
Now Paul O'Neill ready to come out. Phil Bennett's coming out already. Oh, and they've hit each other. Paul O'Neill drives into the side of Bennett, hits the podium truck down at the end of the pit lane, And that is a very scary looking accident. I don't think anyone was standing just there, but Phil Bennett trying to get back into this. That looked pretty nasty.
Well, not Phil Bennett's fault. He's driving along the pit lane. Here you are in car on the pit lane speed limiter, and he gets tagged by Paul O'Neill as he pulls out of his pit space.
Into the pits now comes the MG of Anthony Reid and the other Honda of Alan Morrison. They're taking advantage of this safety car period. Oh, and Phil Bennett, well, after that accident in the pit lane, he hasn't got much further. He's now in the gravel. So that was the end for Phil Bennett. Meanwhile, we're back with the leaders, Yvan Muller and James Thompson. They've managed to pull away from Warren Hughes, still running. Oh, and we've got two off, and that's Matt Neal on the left and Gavin Piper on the right. And Matt Neal, who was on the front row to start this race, remember, he's had some problems already, and now he's completely out of the race, and he looks absolutely furious, heading over towards Gavin Piper's car, and I don't think he's too happy.
Twice that happened, you plonker. So next time I'll give it you back.
Well, Matt Neal very disgruntled there, Tim.
Yes, his mother's obviously had a word with him not to swear on camera, but he really is very upset, and justifiably so. He was minding his own business, and Gavin Piper made a big mistake there, locking up and punching the back of him, and both of them in the gravel.
And there's a rather shamefaced Gavin Piper. Into the pits now, Yvan Muller. Finally, he can make his compulsory pit stop, but this will drop him down the order. He was leading, of course, but several cars will go past him as he rejoins. Chilton's out, big time off, into the Honda barrier in his Honda Racing Civic Type R. And Chilton joins that gravel graveyard that we've seen so many go into today. Hughes still coming under pressure, or a bit of a weave on under braking, and this is an opportunity for Muller.
Muller just touching the back of the car and forcing Hughes wide. He gets underneath before the second corner, and he's got that place.
Alan Morrison right there as well, trying to take advantage as Tom Chilton clambers over the barrier. His race is run, I'm afraid. And meanwhile, look, the battle in the production class. Jim Edwards has just been passed by Chris Ryan in the red Alfa Romeo, and Ryan having his first ever outing in the production class of the British Touring Car Championship. It's going well for him. Meanwhile, into the final stages of the race, and it's looking good for James Thompson. He went off in the first part of this race, remember, changed onto wet tyres at the ideal moment, and he's come through to take the first win of the season. What a great way to start his title defence. Yvan Muller, despite having to do that extra pit stop and the timing not being quite right, still finishes in second place. Alan Morrison comes through to take third place, and Warren Hughes finishes in fourth position.
I was going to come in straight away after I'd gone off, and then I thought, oh no, well, I'll see. I better call the team and see, because they won't be ready for me. And then, then we sneaked in as quick as possible, because I could see it was going to keep raining. Well, I hoped it was going to keep raining. And from there, we had a really good outlap, and then that just caught my places back up.
So James Thompson started the season where he left off in 2002. And again, Yvan Muller was close behind. No luck for Matt Neal in the first race, and he'll lose a position on the grid for the next round, as the result of the first race in a meeting will always determine the grid positions for the second race.
So we're all set to go then, and it's those two VX Racing teammates on the front row of the grid. James Thompson and Yvan Muller will go wheel to wheel, door handle to door handle as the lights go to green. James Thompson gets away from pole position. Yvan Muller goes with him though, and Muller on the outside as they go down towards the first corner might be able to find a bit more grip. Right behind them's Warren Hughes and Alan Morrison in the Honda, with David Leslie after a good result in that first race in the Proton. His teammate Phil Bennett running a little bit too wide, and one or two others getting into trouble through Dunlop Corner, but Rob Collard getting through the first series of corners safely. Michael Bentwood not so. The BMW spinning down there. Meanwhile, everybody making it through down towards turn 3.
Yes, Alan Morrison got a good start there and muscled his way up into second place, with Yvan Muller dropping down to third.
So James Thompson is exactly where he wants to be. He wants back-to-back victories here at Mondello to open up his title defence, and he's got a buffer between himself and Muller. Let's see what it was like from on board Morrison.
Yeah, the dry-ish conditions, meaning traction off the line, very difficult, but Morrison makes a good start and gets himself right up behind Thompson under that first corner. He doesn't want to give anything away. If he sticks on his bumper, he might get that position, and indeed he does, with Muller struggling for grip on the outside.
Couldn't get much closer than Morrison got to the back of Thompson's car, but here comes Muller. Muller down the inside. Oh, he hits him and he takes them both onto the grass. And look, they're losing loads of places on the inside. They both rejoin, but that's hurt Muller even more than it's hurt Morrison. And now look at this battle for 5th. Matt Neal on the inside. Anthony Reid, has it been hit by Muller? Muller again getting a bit aggressive.
Yeah, Muller's desperate to get through to the front as quickly as he possibly can, but Reid is being shuffled back as the race goes on.
Now the pit lane window is open as Alan Morrison comes in. Now he's putting slicks on, which is interesting considering there's some rain falling.
Yeah, this will count as his compulsory stop, but it's a brave gamble with rain falling to go out on slicks now, because if it carries on raining, he's going to have to stop again.
Well, I wonder if everyone, well no, not everyone's thinking the same thing at all. There are wets being prepared down there for some of the cars as well. Tom Chilton's running pretty well at the moment, just ahead of Paul O'Neill. But we're in that period between lap 10 and 18 where they're allowed to come in, where they have to come in fact, to change at least 2 wheels. They're changing all 4 and they're putting wet tyres on Ivan Muller's car.
Yeah, the VX Racing team acting like synchronised swimmers, and that was a very quick stop, and Muller's now gone out on the right tyres.
David Leslie comes in as well. We saw him battling to stay up in the top 3 and lost several places, but now putting the wets on. Ivan Muller rejoins the fray once again, as Matt Neal is just heading out of the pits in the Honda. Oh, and Chris Ryan, who was doing so well earlier on today, he's put it in the gravel, and there are problems for Neal.
Yeah, it was a slow pit stop for Matt. He came in with a lot of gravel in that car, remember, and it looks to have the right front not seated properly.
Well, vital that James Thompson gets away cleanly. He was leading this race before they started making their pit stops. Can he maintain that lead? Another great stop from the VX Racing crew. They send him on his way. It's all over though for Matt Neal. First race has ended in the gravel, second race with the wheel off. It has not been a great day for Honda.
No, battle looks to be resumed at the front of the field once more with Thompson and Muller, while Paul O'Neill gets his pit stop.
Here comes Muller, trying to go down the inside of James Thompson.
Yeah, Thompson saw him coming, but he gave him a little bit of room on the inside on the apex so he didn't get clipped, and knowing he'd still be quickest out of the corner, but battle is certainly joined.
Well, you wouldn't want to take off your teammate in the first meeting of the year. They had their little incidents last year once or twice, but so far they're managing to avoid hitting each other. But this first race is so important psychologically. Thompson already with 1 win to his credit. Muller wants to get back at him immediately, and that's why he's hunting around looking for any opportunity. We've got Carl Breezoff in the Peugeot 307, but at least he's got the car up and running. Again, another team that's worked throughout the night hours to get this car ready.
On board with Muller, you can see the spray. Muller is all over the curbs looking for a bit of an advantage. He's on the dirt, through the puddle. There's a chink of a gap, and Muller is in there like a shot.
Yeah, Ivan Muller's got down the inside of Thompson. He takes the lead as they go on to their last lap. What a vital moment this is for Ivan Muller to snatch the advantage from James Thompson, who just perhaps didn't think Muller was going to go for it, and then he did at the last moment, and now Muller's got the job of defending.
I think if Thompson hadn't moved out of the way, Muller would have collected him. He'd made his mind up, he was going for that, and he's now leading on this last lap.
Well, can Muller come back then? Can they make it 1 win apiece from the opening rounds of the championship from Mondello Park? A very wet Mondello Park in Ireland. What some great racing that it's provided for us. Tom Chilton still running in 3rd place, but it's all about these top 2 and whether Thompson can find a way of getting back past his teammate.
Well, they're earning their money this afternoon. This is fantastic racing, really, really good. And Muller isn't actually pulling away that much from Thompson.
He's got a bit of clear air now. The windscreen wipers you can see juddering across the windscreen. He's got decent visibility, unlike Thompson, who's still getting spray thrown across the car. This should be the opportunity for Muller to get away. He's opened up a little bit of a gap now, but Thompson hasn't given up. In fact, closes up again once more under braking.
Yeah, they're still very close. Half a lap to go.
Could be anybody's race still. We ride on board with Thompson, and suddenly he's right there with Muller again.
Right there, and Muller's moving around very defensively.
So, can Muller hold on? He's gone in a little bit too deep. Thompson now can scent there's still an opportunity. Only a few corners to go on this final lap, but Thompson wants a second victory. Gets alongside Muller, and he almost manages to go through, and Muller was a little bit slow there.
Yeah, he must have a problem. He wouldn't drive that defensively otherwise. And really now Thompson's got a great opportunity. He's running wide to get a good slingshot out of this last corner. MG, will he be able to get up the inside?
Well, Muller's doing everything he can, but he's just not got enough speed. Something's happened. Muller's car not as quick in a straight line as it was earlier, and Thompson flies through. He retakes the lead, and what a crucial moment. This is the last corner of the last lap coming up. There's no opportunity for Ivan Muller really to come back at him, and I'm sure there's a problem with that car as Tom Chilton's beginning to close up in third. James Thompson makes it 2 out of 2, and Muller across the line just in front of Tom Chilton, who very nearly took him on the line. But what a day for James Thompson, the ideal start to his championship defence.
I saw him make a bit of a lunge down the inside, and I thought, oh no, not Brands all over again. So I thought, oh, just, you know, discretion's a better part of valour. I thought, well, still 1 lap to go. So I just let him through, and you know, finishing the race was more important to me than, you know, ending up in the gravel trap.
First race I was the quicker on the track. I was unlucky. Second race I was the quicker again. I come back from 7 to the leadership, and last lap the mechanic decided differently. So different year, same story.
Yes, just like last season, all over again, and a fantastic double for James Thompson. Frustration for Ivan Muller. But that was only the first meeting, and there was still a long way to go in the 2003 season. Early days, but in terms of the championship, that double gives James Thompson the lead with 33 points, ahead of Muller with 27, then Alan Morrison in third with 16. Of the production drivers, Jim Edwards Jr. equal with Michael Bentwood, with 23 points, Chris Ryan in third. And in the team's championship, VX Racing a lead of 54 points ahead of Honda with 26, Collard Racing with 9. And in the manufacturers, Vauxhall with a clear lead. It was Southern England and Brands Hatch for rounds 3 and 4. James Thompson celebrating 200 races in the British touring cars. And there was more good news for Tomo, as he was the fastest in qualifying and took his third pole position of the season. Thompson just beating Neil by 0.07 of a second for pole. And in fact, 0.028 separated the top 3. The MGs of Turkington and Hughes were 5th and 6th. Alan Morrison down in 7th in the Honda. Gavin Piper up to 8th. Anthony Reid in 9th.
So we're all set to go racing then. James Thompson starting his 200th race from pole position. Can he convert it to the third win of the season? Away they go. And it's a very slow start from Thompson. Matt Neal sliding down the hill. But what a great start from Ivan Muller. Ivan Muller from the second rows on the outside as they head into Paddock Hill Bend for the first time. Matt Neal from pole position has just got in front. It wasn't a great start from him, but he's managed to get in front of Ivan Muller. But it is a good start from Warren Hughes, who suddenly appeared in third place.
Yes, great start from Warren Hughes, but what an awful start from the front row. I'm amazed they managed to get around Paddock without any contact. They were so bunched up.
Gavin Piper just sliding down the inside of Rob Collard. That's the battle in the independence class, but Matt Neal leads in the Honda. It's a Vauxhall in second place. That's Ivan Muller. Then the MG of Warren Hughes. Then another Vauxhall. That's James Thompson, and he's trying to look for a way past as well. But that heavy car, remember, fully ballasted. Let's take another look at the start again.
On the camber, the cars slide down when the front wheels wheel spin, and Matt Neal nearly collected the pole man there, but he manages to keep it going and manages to keep the inside into Paddock, and he's got the best possible start.
Now let's take another view from Paul O'Neill. He's on the second row. Look how Ivan Muller just missed him.
Well, he just missed the front of him. Good start by Muller, and he didn't want to lose the initiative.
But it's Matt Neal who leads this race. There he is. Really quite a comfortable advantage he's got now over Ivan Muller in second, who's under pressure now. Further back, we've got some battles. This is on board with Phil Bennett. Battle for 7th is just ahead of us. There's Gavin Piper. Piper's trying to go up the inside of Turkington. Oh, he's made a bit of contact at Clearways, but he's got through. And in fact, look, Morrison's got past Phil Bennett as well as they come onto the Brabham Straight.
Well, Piper's shown already this year that he's going to give it to the works cars if he possibly can, and that was a good lunge up the inside, and he got the place.
But look at this, all trying to get into Paddock Hill Bend together here. Bennett's got 2 MGs, and that's Reid. Reid suddenly appears out of nowhere to go down the inside of both Bennett and Colin Turkington.
Well, that was fantastic opportunism by Anthony Reid. He saw the other cars were holding themselves up on the run down the main straight into Paddock, and he took his opportunity and classic outbraking up the inside.
Back to the battle in the production class. Luke Hines leads Michael Bentwood. It's Honda Civic versus BMW. Remember, Bentwood is the joint leader of the championship coming into this race. Matt Neal into the pits then, and again there's a little bit of a delay getting the car up in the air. Ivan Muller in from second place, so this is the battle. There was a 4-second gap though as they came in. It should be okay for Neal, but it's a slow stop at the moment. Finally he gets away, but Muller's away first.
Well, there you are, 6 seconds against 11.5 seconds, and the lead has instantly gone, much to Matt Neal's annoyance.
Yeah, you could see the frustration in the mirror. But look, Muller's rejoined just as Paul O'Neill comes round. Now, O'Neill was the first of the Vauxhalls to stop. He has already stopped, and he wants to hold on to his position. Dan Eaves is leading overall because he hasn't come into the pits yet. But Paul O'Neill now trying to fend off Ivan Muller.
Well, is that a repeat of last year, Muller and Thompson? But this time, Muller keeps them both on the track and they don't go in the gravel. And Paul O'Neill shows no respect for Muller and takes that place. Well done, Paul.
Good effort from him. Meanwhile, into the pits comes Warren Hughes. Now, he was battling for second place, remember, with Ivan Muller before these pit stops started. So he'll be hoping to get out ahead of Muller after this stop. That looked pretty good from the crew, 7.08 seconds. But the leaders now coming out of clearways. It's Paul O'Neill, remember, who leads now, with Ivan Muller in second place. There behind them, we've got Matt Neal and James Thompson, but Warren Hughes just coming out of the pits, and he's coming out pretty much with those other two Astras. He's side by side with Ivan Muller here, who's almost getting a bit of a push from him. There he is. O'Neill leads, but Muller's got Warren Hughes right with him.
And of course, Hughes got cold tyres, so can he defend even though he's on the inside? Muller's got more grip and can go round the outside and has the inside for Graham Hill Bend.
Almost a repeat of when Muller came out versus Paul O'Neill. Warren Hughes has to settle for third again. Frustrating for him after he's been chasing the boot lead of Ivan Muller pretty much throughout this race so far after that excellent getaway. Meanwhile, problems down in the pits. It looks as though it's the end of the race for Tom Boardman in the Team Varta Peugeot 307. They've had one or two niggling problems this weekend so far. Back with the leaders though, Paul O'Neill really has got away here from Ivan Muller, who's got all this pressure on from Warren Hughes, so he can't really go chasing after his teammate.
Paul O'Neill's early pit stop has really paid into his hands. He's been able to put some quick laps in without traffic, and he now has a lead. But MG are going to be very heartened by this strong performance as Hughes touches the back of Muller's car. Battle is really well and truly joined between these two, and MG and Hughes want a good result out of this race.
Well, they've got Matt Neal joining in as well. Look, the Honda's caught up to the MG. Hughes and Muller getting involved in such almost fisticuffs. Let's take another look at it from Matt Neal's point of view.
Well, Hughes looks like there might be a gap for him, and he moves immediately to the inside, but Muller, tough drive that he is, chops him straight off and says, no way, mate.
Yeah, well, that's the effect on the rear bumper. Look at that, trailing on the ground now, but it doesn't slow Ivan Muller down at all. And Hughes still has to look for an opportunity. Matt Neal also there, ready to pick up the pieces if anyone makes a mistake. Down into paddock, and Warren Hughes has gone for the inside line this time. Oh, they touch on the turn into paddock. He'll bend them both sideways. Into the gravel goes Ivan Muller. He's got it back out again. Hughes has survived, but here comes Matt Neal now, trying to get the place away from Hughes. Well, that was an amazing synchronised movement through Paddock Hill Bend. But look, it's Matt Neal who's gained the most, and he's moved up now into second place. Well, Paul O'Neill's got to be careful there. If he starts driving to his mirrors too much, the gap will reduce even more, and Matt Neal is charging. Takes a tighter line into paddock than perhaps conventionally, just perhaps trying to shake Paul O'Neill, trying to put him off his stride. In the background, Muller's car with bits of bodywork and bumper dangling, but he's still going strong.
Matt Neal's reduced a 2.5 second deficit down to almost nothing. It's visible now, and although this is the last lap, there's always a chance into clearways.
Yeah, there's a back marker in the way. This could cause an upset. Alan Blenko, that is, although it looks like he's keeping out of the way of Paul O'Neill. He keeps out of the way of Matt Neal as well. So up through Surtees they come, up towards clearways, and Matt Neal, oh, he's hit the back of O'Neill's car, and Matt Neal's got through. He's taken the lead on the last corner. Oh, and Hughes has gone off. Hughes goes off stage left, and Matt Neal's in front. He's going to win this on the very last lap. He gets through. Paul O'Neill losing time there, and in fact Ivan Muller has got through in second place. Paul O'Neill finishes in third. Fourth place goes to Anthony Reid, and Rob Collard coming across the line to win the independent class. But Tim, what drama on that last lap.
Well, it was all building up to the last corner, wasn't it, with Matt Neal catching ever so quickly, and that was a very late lunge. There was half a chance up the inside. Matt went for it, there was contact, well held by Paul, and Matt got through. I think that's touring car racing, really. He had to go for it, and poor old Warren Hughes gets nothing after a great race.
I had a great dice with Muller and managed to get the better of him, which was quite satisfying. I really enjoyed that dice, and but coming up on the last corner of the last lap, I mean, Matt Neal very, very hard move on Paul O'Neill, in my opinion, and just spun Paul round. I mean, the guy was broadside in the middle of the track as I came through the corner, and I had to pick which side to go, and my right front caught him and broke the track rod, and I lost the steering.
A fantastic effort there by Paul O'Neill, and what a drama in the final lap. Finally, the points went to Matt Neal with his first win of the season. Van Muller in second will join Neal on the front row for round 4. The plot definitely thickening.
So is Matt Neal going to make it 2 wins out of 2 here today? That would certainly help Honda as they take the challenge to Vauxhall, but he's got to get off pole position cleanly. Van Muller alongside him, the lights go to green. Oh, it's a terrible start from Matt Neal. He goes right down towards the pit wall, and Van Muller's on his own. He's right up front on his own virtually. Anthony Reid makes a good start. Paul O'Neill also getting through, and Alan Morrison, he's made a good start from the 4th row of the grid. He's got in front of his teammate Matt Neal.
That's 2 bad starts from Matt Neal, but unlike the first race where he managed to stay in front, Muller has shot off, and Matt Neal's down in 5th or 6th place.
Oh, a cloud of dust. It's Phil Bennett who's got off into the gravel trap at Druitt, as Van Muller leads and has already got a little advantage over Paul O'Neill. Anthony Reid in 3rd. Now let's just see what happened here. We're on board with Gavin Piper. We're getting a friendly nudge or two from Phil Bennett, and then they came out of Paddock Hill Bend up towards the hairpin at Druitt. Remember, Bennett goes off for some reason here. Let's see. Bang! Oh, and he's got off straight in front of Gavin Piper. Now we're on board with James Thompson right behind Matt Neal, these 2 battling Hondas. And Thompson looking for any way that he can slip past them, but it's not going to be easy down through Graham Hill Bend here. Oh, and Neal gets a bit twitchy, a bit sideways. He's off on the grass, and this is Thompson's opportunity.
The Hondas just don't appear to be quite as forgiving over the curbs. They're very bouncy, have a very stiff chassis setup, unlike the Vauxhall, which seems to ride the bumps very well. And every time the drivers clip the curbs, it seems to set in a bounce and a hop, and that was enough for Matt to lose a place.
So on board once again with James Thompson. He's managed to get past one of those Hondas, but watch out for Warren Hughes. He's beginning to catch that group, and there he is just at the tail of that group behind Matt Neal now. So that's a good effort. He's now up to 8th place and beginning to put the pressure on the Honda ahead of him. On board with Alan Morrison just behind Anthony Reid, and Morrison getting a bit of a shove, is he, from Thompson, as Matt Neal and Warren Hughes, there's nothing to separate them either. Oh, I wonder if this is going to last. They're all so close together, and once again Warren Hughes had a little look at getting past Matt Neal. This time it's Morrison that makes a mistake.
Well, Morrison repeating the mistake that Matt made, clipping the curb, hopping wide, and now he's lost his place to his teammate.
So Matt Neal says, all right, I'll take that back again, and up into clearways they come. Both now behind James Thompson, but watch out for Warren Hughes. He's definitely on a charge. Meanwhile, on board, Anthony Reid. Oh, and Turkington's hit Chris Ryan. One of the production class cars spinning into the pit wall there on the top straight. Bits of glass flying all over the place, and a lot of damage done to the front of that car.
That is a huge chance, and I've seen it happen here before as the cars tighten their line coming onto the pit straight, and the safety cars had to come out. There's some serious damage there. Hopefully Chris Ryan is okay.
Well, the race leaders have come into the pits because the pit lane window has just opened, only just. They have to come in after 14 laps completed, and it was just marginal, but the Hondas did not come in. Now, I don't think they thought 14 laps had been completed, so they didn't bring the Hondas in straight away. They could have lost out. Now the Hondas come in, but this is going to hurt them.
Honda once again messing up their pit strategy. They should have pitted immediately, and although the pit stop was quick, they should have come in a lap earlier.
Well, now heading down pit lane, Matt Neal following Warren Hughes down to the end there. Oh, and they've been held at the end of the pit lane. They've been told to stop while they're sorting some stuff out on the main straight, waiting for the signal. Now he can go, but he's stalled. Oh, no.
And Matt Neal can't get through. The frustration. Oh, he can't get through. And now Matt Neal has stalled as well.
Oh, look, Warren Hughes gets going. Now Neal's stuck. And now he's getting a push.
Well, they only get so many starts out of the battery on these cars before it's flat, so will he be able to start? He's got it going, first gear, and he's away, but he's going to be at the tail of the field. That was a disastrous stop for Matt Neal.
That really is bad news. There is the wreck of Chris Ryan's car, but Honda know that did not work out for them in terms of pit strategy. They have lost a lot of places, and as the race gets underway again, Van Muller is our race leader. Colin Turkington running second. The Hondas are now down in 11th and 12th places as a result of all that. from challenging up near the front. They're now way down in the midfield. So for Matt to try and repeat that win from earlier on today, looking virtually impossible now, as Ivan Muller looks likely to take the win, but Colin Turkington would like to say something about that. He wants to get the MG through, hopping over the curb, or gets it a bit out of shape, but great car control. Team Halford's Peugeot of Carl Breeze leading in the independent class ahead of James Kay in the Honda. These guys getting used to their cars that were built and delivered at the very last minute for this year's championship. As here's a change, Matt Neal gets up the inside of his own teammate Alan Morrison. That puts Matt Neal now into 8th position. Meanwhile, the problem Colin Turkington's got is his mirrors are full of James Thompson. And Turkington, well, he's driven superbly so far, but can he withstand this pressure now from the reigning champion? It might be one thing to keep Paul O'Neill behind, but now he's got the reigning champion trying every trick in the book to get past.
There's no doubt that Colin Turkington is really struggling for tyre grip now. It's near the end of the race, and Vauxhall have managed to keep their tyres together better, and now he's going to have to drive very defensively.
Up into Druitt, and Thompson sees a little bit of a gap at the apex, dives down onto the inside. Turkington keeps it wide on the outside, moves back over, leaves the door open a bit into Graham Hill. Ben Thompson begins to go for it. They make contact. Turkington sideways, gets it back to go. No, he's lost it again over the grass. Oh, and he's into the barrier. Turkington, second place to nothing. And what a shame for the youngster who's driven so superbly in this race so far.
Once again, MG and Turkington get nothing out of this race. That was an avoidable instance, I think, but Turkington was struggling for grip, and James decided he had to have a go. And Colin didn't give him any room at all on the apex.
So we now have a VX Racing 1-2-3. Muller in the lead, Thompson now in second place, and Paul O'Neill in third. Then it's the two MGs of Anthony Reid and Warren Hughes. Let's take another look at this.
James just touches the back of Turkington's car, and he initially controls it very well, but in straightening the car up, he accidentally tags Thompson, and that spears him off into the tyres.
But coming round to celebrate a 1-2-3 finish, it is the VX Racing crew. What a remarkable achievement. All three cars, all three drivers will be on the podium. Ivan Muller takes his first win of the season. James Thompson holds on to take second place ahead of Paul O'Neill. And then the two MGs of Anthony Reid and Warren Hughes. But Muller will be mighty relieved about that. He saw James Thompson win the first two races in Mondello. He took a couple of second places there. Now he's got the win. There's Michael Bentwood winning as well in the production class. 2 wins here at Brands Hatch. Perfect weekend for him. But Muller will be absolutely delighted to have taken victory at Brands Hatch.
He was consistently making mistakes down there, lap after lap, and I showed my nose down the inside, and I think I was far enough along the inside that he should have possibly given me a little bit of room. But we just had a bit of contact. I thought he gathered it up, to be honest with you, but then I heard a bang on the rear quarter of my car, and then he must have just speared off at a different direction.
What a fantastic race then for Vauxhall. A spectacular 1-2-3 in round 4 at Brands. Ivan Muller celebrates his first win of the season. Another third place for Paul O'Neill, and James Thompson will be happy to get back to second after a relatively disappointing opening race at Brands. In the championship then, Ivan Muller just edging ahead by 2 points over Thompson, with Paul O'Neill now slotting into third place. And in the Production Drivers' Championship, Michael Bentwood overtakes Jim Edwards Jr. and now has 54 points to his 37. VX Racing still leads the Touring Car Teams Championship with 103, ahead of Honda with 52 points and MG in third. But in the manufacturers, Vauxhall well ahead with 127 points. And in the Independents Trophy, Robert Collard well out in front with 35. The third meeting of 2003 was held at Thruxton in the Hampshire countryside. Watch out for some hectic action today, as this is the fastest track on the touring car circuit. Pretty hard on tyres though. Matt Neal was the fastest in qualifying, just 0.3 ahead of Thompson. And Thompson was just 7 thousandths ahead of Alan Morrison in third place in the Honda. Muller carrying maximum ballast from the last race. Paul O'Neill looking strong in 5th place. Gavin Piper, then Colin Turkington in 7th. And Tom Chilton in 8th position for the start of this one.
So the front row then, Matt Neal and Ivan Muller. Let's see who gets away first. The second row, another Honda and another Vauxhall. Alan Morrison, and it's Alan Morrison who moves already. What's he doing? He's gone away. Now he slows down. Now everybody gets underway. Well, if that wasn't a jump start, Tim, I don't know what is.
I don't know what happened there. I can only assume that he saw some sunlight glinting on the lights and thought they'd changed.
Oh, and into the Collard, that is. Collard has gone so. Oh, he slams into Hughes. And Anthony Reid as well has gone with him on. There's another car that gets hit right at the end of all that. My goodness, that was a huge impact as Rob Collard pitched sideways in the middle of the corner. Matt Neal's got away, so has Ivan Muller. Everyone else has got through the first couple of corners, but there is a lot of damage back there on the exit of Allard.
That is a massive impact, and it's the worst thing that could happen at the start of a race. A car coming backwards through the middle of the pack, and it took out both the MGs, and it looks like Jim Edwards Jr. as well.
There's the car of Rob Collard, the privateer, the man who leads the independent category. Let's take another look here, Tim.
Yeah, just in the background there's a bit of congestion. Gavin Piper and Collard touch as Collard moves across the road, and he's a passenger then. The car spins round, straight back across, slams into the side of Warren Hughes, and Anthony Reid and Jim Edwards Jr., the innocent bystanders in that.
This is Warren Hughes.
Wait for the impact.
Oh. That was a big impact, wasn't it?
I think he'll be very glad he was driving a right-hand drive car there.
Yeah, absolutely. The impact coming in on the passenger side. We're back under racing conditions. Matt Neal leads from Ivan Muller in second place, James Thompson in third. Further down the order, I can see Michael Bedwood just leading in the production class. That BMW quick off the line as ever, but he's got Tom Boardman close with him as well, as the leaders come safely through Allard corner this time. And Matt Neal in the Honda with the advantage over the two Vauxhalls behind, Ivan Muller and James Thompson. Oh, this is Alan Morrison, and indeed that jump start he has been penalised for. He's had to do a drive-through. Let's have a look.
Well, there's no sign of the lights changing, but Morrison's on the move as the red light then comes on and turns to green, and he's a bit dumbfounded then, doesn't know what to do, so he's had to back off, but in the end he's had a drive-through penalty anyway, and now Piper's up with Turkington.
Yeah, this is the battle for fifth place. Colin Turkington in the sole remaining MG now has the top independent Gavin Piper right behind him, and this is a good battle between two of the youngsters in the British Touring Car Championship Series. Gavin Piper was in the production class last year, now he's in the touring class. Colin Turkington first year with the works team.
And some great pictures of the cars right on the limit here. They're averaging nearly 110 miles an hour, and the ability to take that tight line here. Gavin Piper's held the line, he's got the momentum on the run down to Church, just a dab on the brakes there, 135 miles an hour, and look at the cars moving about on the suspension.
Here are our two leaders, Matt Neal and Ivan Muller. Let's see whether either of them comes in this time. Matt Neal continues, but Ivan Muller does choose this moment to come in. Crucial stop then for VX Racing. They've dealt with their other two cars, James Thompson and Paul O'Neill, very cleanly. Can they do the same with Ivan Muller?
Now, the big question is, where will Muller rejoin in relation to James Thompson, who stopped earlier and has been running very quickly on the track? Great stop by the VX team again, and let's look to see where Thompson is.
Yeah, that was beautiful, absolutely perfect stop from VX Racing. He rejoins the track, and Thompson is behind him, just coming over the line now. So look in the background there, you could see Thompson, and there's quite a big gap there. So Ivan Muller has done a lot of hard work in the early stages of this race. He's got in front now. What we'll have to see is how quickly Matt Neal gets his two wheels changed, and that's what Ian Harrison will be keeping an eye on. Meanwhile, Warren Hughes getting an explanation from Rob Collard as to what happened on that first bend. Now here we are on board with Matt Neal, and Tim, surely he'll be in this time.
Well, he needs to be. He would have been able to put in one more quick lap while Ivan Muller's going out on cold tyres, and if this is a good pit stop, he can rejoin just in front on the road, even though he'll have cold tyres.
So, Honda Racing go to work, and that hasn't come up very well off on the jack. Again, there's a bit of a delay just getting it up off the jack. That slowed them down, and surely 7.5 seconds, that's not the best they can do. They've been doing extra practice recently, but I don't think it's going to be enough, because Ivan Muller's coming over the line. Matt Neal making his way down the pit lane at the moment. He's not going to beat Ivan Muller. Is he going to beat James Thompson? That's the question. Muller's well through, but here comes Thompson.
He's not going to do it. He's got cold tyres on, and Thompson will be straight up the inside to outbrake him on his warm tyres, and indeed he does going into the complex. That was a disastrous pit stop again. I know they've been trying very hard to get this right. We've taken some stick for criticising them, but you can see clearly there how it affects your race position. He's now third instead of first.
Yeah, everything has to be right, and that's what VX Racing are showing once again. So Matt Neal, as you say, he was leading before the pit stops, now he's in third. Oh, there's a little bit of bumping and boring going on here. Colin Turkington having a little bit of a battle with Dan Eves. Doesn't look as though it's ended too badly.
No, drivers will fight for a 13th place as hard as they'll fight for first place.
Yeah, or in their case, 8th place. That's what they're battling over at the moment, I think. Look at James Kay here, and right behind him is Tom Boardman, leader in the production class, right with some of the tourists. Of course, they have to make a pit stop. The production class boys don't have to make a pit stop, so mid-race they can be right up amongst them. Meanwhile, here's the battle that's going on for 2nd place. James Thompson has not got away from Matt Neal, and Matt Neal, after that good early stint, slightly slower pit stop, is determined to make up some ground again.
Matt had a really good line through the complex there. He carried good speed, kept a tight line, but they're approaching the very, very fast Noble Bend. This is not normally a side-by-side corner. That's 125 miles an hour. That is ever so quick.
Oh, Matt Neal's got it. Oh, look at Thompson, completely crossed up. Oh, what a great save.
Well, I think he thinks he's in the Hafren Forest rallying, doesn't he? That was a massive slide, beautifully controlled though, with full power on and a bit of opposite lock. No overcorrection needed, but wow, what a slide. Just got his wheels out onto the marbles, and that was enough to let it go.
Well, it's also meant that Paul O'Neill's gone through into 3rd. Let's take another look at this, Tim.
Yeah, Matt Neal's got up the inside. That's forced James a little bit wide. He's on the slightly bumpy, slightly dirty side. Grip lets go, and he's full on the power. Corrects it beautifully, loses a bit of momentum, which allows Paul O'Neill to slip through as well.
What a fantastic view though. Meanwhile, we've got a battle here between Gavin Piper and Alan Morrison, and Alan Morrison trying to get 5th place away from the man who's leading the independent class, so it's not really up to Piper to battle this too hard, and in fact Morrison does nip ahead through that very fast corner. This is the section where we saw Thompson out of shape. These two boys getting through there safely.
Great pass, but they are teetering on the edge of adhesion.
Now look at this, the leaders. This is Ivan Muller. Look how Matt Neal's caught him. It's the last corner of the last lap. Matt Neal really attacking into the chicane. Will he make contact? No, he doesn't. It's not a repeat of Brands Hatch. He keeps it very clean indeed. And Ivan Muller comes through to win. Matt Neal really launched his attack on that last lap. He seemed to be a long way back, having got past Thompson. Suddenly he was right there. But Ivan Muller just managing to defend his position. Paul O'Neill comes through in 3rd. 4th place for James Thompson. Then Alan Morrison, good recovery that to 5th place, despite having a drive-through penalty after jumping the start. But Ivan Muller is the top man in the touring class.
It was a real back-to-front race. To start with, Ivan and his Vauxhall were really quick through the slow stuff. They could gold me under braking and through the 2 tight, twisty sections, and then he did me on the pit stop, and then the roles were reversed. We were about equal through all the quick stuff, and I could catch him up through the slow ones, and finally managed to have a stab at him, but wasn't quite there.
Good to have James behind me. You know, it pushes me. Everything pushes me, and James was good to me. Ivan and James have been great to me all year, and we're just trying to push on and do the best we can for Vauxhall. I never thought I'd have 3 podiums in the first 2 races or so. So yeah, I'm really pleased. It's going well.
Well, the Frenchman always manages to win at Thruxton. He's managed it every time he's raced here for the 4 years he's been in touring cars. And there's another podium for the ever-improving Paul O'Neill. That win meant that Muller took pole position for round 6, joined on the front row by 2nd place, Matt Neal.
Ideal conditions once again. Ivan Muller this time starting from pole position. Matt Neal alongside. Let's hope for a clean getaway for race 2. Everybody gets away on the green light this time. Ivan Muller trying to get away, but it's Matt Neal from the outside of the front row who gets ahead. Ivan Muller down into 2nd place. James Thompson in 3rd, with Paul O'Neill is right there with him as they head off into Allard. Let's hope they get through here safely. Tom Chilton just gets a bit out of shape, but they are through this part safely this time.
I held my breath that time. It's a very congested start. They were all moving to the inside, but fortunately there was no contact there.
Matt Neal leads, but look at Ivan Muller looking for every which way to get past. James Thompson through in 3rd. Paul O'Neill is 4th. Warren Hughes trying to make up some ground in that rebuilt car. Let's hope it handles okay. So far, so good for him. And look at the leaders side by side. Ivan Muller's trying to get back past Matt Neal. Oh, and he's got past at Noble Corner. A high-speed corner to do that on virtually cold tyres.
That's very brave on the first lap. Normal procedure would be to follow a little bit and just establish a position and have a feel of the tyres at full racing speed. None of that for Muller. He's straight on it.
Now, Tom Chilton didn't make a very good start here, Tim. Let's just watch his progress.
Not enough revs on the line, the engine bogged down, and then he was on the limiter in first gear and not going forward, not changing gear fast enough.
Now, it's amazing when you make a bad start, how many can come past you? And Chilton dropping right back down the order as a result of a poor getaway. But another Honda is in front, and it's the car of Matt Neal, still with Ivan Muller. In fact, he's got back in front. He's back in front of Ivan Muller, who had passed him on the first lap, but Matt's come straight back at him.
Well, Matt's got his tyres up to temperature, and he's back in front now. But this is going to be interesting to see how they carry the weight. Oh, Muller's all over him in the cockpit. This will be tight. Oh, Muller had to go down a gear just at the end there, which he really wouldn't want it to do.
Look at Alan Morrison also on a charge. He's trying to get past Paul O'Neill for fourth, and I think he's managed to do it. In fact, just nips ahead. So now we have Honda's first and fourth. Let's just take a little look at what's going on in the production class. On board with Michael Bentwood here, and he's challenging Jim Edwards for second in class. BMW we're riding in, and Honda Accord we're up against, and it looks as though he's going to make it happen. But Matt Neal is the race leader here. Once again, it looked like James Thompson just got a bit out of shape, and Alan Morrison's got a chance.
Morrison's the man on the move. He's got the lightest car in this main group at the front here, and he finds himself in a really good position to attack.
Yeah, it looks like he's taken that third place away from Thompson. He nips past, and the ex-motocross rider, ex-Fiesta champion and production class series champion has gone into third. But look at this battle as Paul O'Neill now has the opportunity to get past James Thompson.
Well, James Thompson's having one of his sort of mid-race slumps here. He's going too casually, and he's just letting these guys slip past him. He hasn't found the perfect setup either for these tyres or this circuit this weekend.
Meanwhile, Matt Neal's got his mirrors full again. It's Ivan Muller all over him as they come up towards the chicane. Muller's trying to go round the outside into the chicane. Oh, he can't quite do it, and we haven't got to the pit stops yet, so he doesn't want to take too many risks, but he's really putting the pressure on Matt Neal.
Excellent speed through the chicane, using all the curbs. He's got a little bit of a run, but Matt chops across the front. No way, Jose.
Firm but fair from Matt Neal. Ivan Muller has to settle in second, but in fact, look, Alan Morrison much closer in third in the second Honda, and he might be able to assist his teammate Matt Neal, who's leading. If he can just put a bit of pressure on Muller, that could make life easier for Matt Neal up front. But of course, Alan Morrison himself has got Paul O'Neill on his rear bumper. What a quartet of cars, all battling for position.
Tremendous racing at the front. Two Hondas, two Vauxhalls, really fighting it out. And I don't think there's any aspect of helping teammates here. It's every man for himself.
Look how the car hops its way through Noble at over 110 miles an hour, and now into Goodwood, the right-hander, the fast sweeping corner. They hop and bobble, and Matt Neal's hopped and bobbled all his way onto the grass. Something must have gone wrong there.
That can only be a suspension breakage or a puncture. Dunlop have provided a new tyre this weekend. There hasn't been a single failure. It's been absolutely superb, but that looks like it could just be the one that's caught them out.
Well, that's a great shame. Matt Neal, he lost the first race when they lost just a little bit of time in the pit stop. Now it appears he's lost the second race as well. Take another look. We were concentrating on Morrison's car, but just ahead, his teammate Matt Neal, who was leading, off he went.
Yeah, obviously no steering there, so either a breakage or a puncture, left front puncture I suspect, and he's in the cabbages.
Matt Neal heads into the pit lane after that off, so he's managed to get back to the pit somehow. And up front, it's Ivan Muller who leads this race, the Frenchman who won the first race this afternoon. Just fending off Matt Neal, he comes into the pits. So that allows Paul O'Neill to be leading the race now. There he is, the Scouser, who loves his racing and really driving so well at the moment. But Ivan Muller, this is a crucial pit stop. Will he get back out in front of Alan Morrison?
Well, very quick stop, 5.5 seconds. Excellent stop for Muller, gives him every chance again as Tom Boardman continues to lead in production.
Yeah, Luke Hines running second in class, and then Michael Bentwood still going. He needs to pick up the points. This track not suiting the BMW quite so well. Loses out in a straight line a touch. Here is Paul O'Neill, our race leader. Now, probably coming into the pits this time around. Yes, he is. Slows it down, gets down to the speed limit and into the pit lane. There's Matt Neal. He's a lap down now after his problems. A great disappointment for him. But now into the pits, our race leader, Paul O'Neill. Question of how Ivan Muller's getting on out there. Also into the pits at the same time is Tom Chilton. Oh, and once again, the Honda team have got problems with that front right as O'Neill gets away safely. Oh, and it's come down off the jacks. He seemed to be waving it down. They dropped it off the jack. That wasn't what they wanted because the wheel wasn't on the car.
I think somebody needs to do a time and motion study in that Honda pit, honestly. And Dan Eves has got a broken left rear suspension. He'll be retiring.
Anthony Reid, meanwhile, makes his way into the pit lane. Now, he's had a pretty strong run. He was leading the race with the others coming into the pits. But can he now rejoin with the Vauxhalls and that remaining Honda of Alan Morrison that's still up amongst the leaders? It is Ivan Muller who comes round now. He's back in front, and Paul O'Neill is going to be back behind him. Tom Chilton slowing down, so he's obviously in trouble.
Yeah, he's slowing down. He had that slow pit stop when the car dropped off the jacks. I don't know whether it's done any damage in doing that. The cars don't really like to be dropped like that, so maybe some damage there.
But Ivan Muller, nobody can stop him here this weekend. He has a tremendous record here at Thruxton. He's won at least one race in the last 4 years of the two that are held at Thruxton, and he's done it again, this time winning both races and making this second win look very easy.
Yeah, great performance. He hit on the perfect setup for the tyres, the new tyre here and for this circuit, and he's managed to maintain good speed, good drivability without, unlike Thompson, who's been all over the place. Look how confident he is through Church here, the fastest corner on any racetrack in the UK for these cars.
Safely through, and it's just the run up Woodham Hill up to about 150 miles an hour again for the last time, then hard on the brakes into the chicane, and Ivan Muller is going to take win number 2 here at Thruxton, and this is really going to boost his championship hopes. Through he comes, a nice clean line once more. The checkered flag awaits, and it's VX Racing winning once again this season, despite Honda at times being faster than them this weekend. At the end of the day, it's a double victory for the Vauxhall Astras and for Ivan Muller.
It's a fantastic weekend for us. The pit crew has done a fantastic job on the pit stop. The car went well. The balance was a bit different than the first race. I was struggling a bit more with Dondesia, but still quickest, even with 60 kilo penalty. So it's a perfect weekend for Vauxhall.
I made a good start and just picked them off one by one really. Got in the second, and then obviously Matt had a tyre failure and I was a bit wary of that. So Ivan had a wee bit of a jump on me, so I decided just to try and get the car home, get some points for Honda Racing.
The puncher is pure luck, isn't it? And why one can pick it up and another one can't. It's another weekend where we've promised ourselves great things and then sort of come away with two pretty good results, but we're not quite got the hands on the goal just yet, and it's it's there for the taking.
That was Muller's second Thruxton double, having won twice here in 2000. And good to see Alan Morrison bringing the Honda Civic home in second place. Another podium place for Paul O'Neill, his 4th of the season. Ivan Muller's title challenge is gaining momentum. The Frenchman now a 20-point lead. In the Production Drivers' Championship, Luke Hines moves into second place, chasing down Michael Bentwood in first. VX Racing still out on top with 153 in the Touring Teams Championship, ahead of Honda and MG. But Vauxhall still out on top of the Manufacturers' Championship with 191. James Kay now leads Gavin Piper and Robert Collard in the Independence Trophy. But the day belonged once again to the Frenchman, Ivan Muller. In June, the British touring cars moved to Silverstone, where James Thompson was the fastest in qualifying. He was trying to reverse the Thruxton double by Ivan Muller. His time of 1:28.277, beating the old track record to take that pole position ahead of Matt Neal. Then came Ivan Muller in third, Warren Hughes in fourth, and his teammate Colin Turkington in fifth. The MGs finally getting on the pace.
So then, all set for 25 laps around this 2.2-mile international circuit at Silverstone. Matt Neal versus James Thompson, and away they go. It's a good start from Matt Neal on the outside there. James Thompson goes with him, and on the second row, Ivan Muller and Warren Hughes. Colin Turkington trying to shut the door a little bit further back, trying to keep the MG in a good point-scoring position, but here goes Matt Neal all the way around the outside of James Thompson at Copse Corner, and the Honda is just ahead, but is he? Because Thompson's coming back. Somebody's off. Oh, it's Phil Bennett's off on the extra tarmac on the exit of Copse Corner. But up front, it's all about Matt Neal, but he's been pushed back to second. Thompson's got ahead, Matt Neal in second, and it's Ivan Muller in third.
A very equal start at the beginning. I thought Matt Neal had it. He led going into Copse, but by the time they got down to Beckett's, James Thompson had squeezed down the inside.
Let's take a look back at what happened to Phil Bennett here, Tim.
Yeah, Tom Chilton's got completely sideways up in front, and Bennett's tried to go through and just clipped the front of him.
Now another view from Tom Chilton.
Cold rear tyres and the car gets sideways, but Tom corrects it, but poor old Phil Bennett has nowhere to go and tags him really hard.
Well, fair bit of damage done to Phil Bennett's car. Race over, I'm afraid, for the Brummie. They'll just have to wait till race number 2, and race over as well for Rob Collard, that rebuilt Astra. Well, maybe there's some niggling problem and he's retiring to the pits. The battle for the lead is on, though, and it's James Thompson versus Matt Neal, with Ivan Muller in 3rd place, Warren Hughes running in 4th in the MG, chased by Colin Turkington, so both MGs well up, but it's Matt Neal who's really pushing now. He thought he had the lead coming out of Cobb's corner. Thompson got back at him, but Matt Neal's not given up on this, and he's going to attack into Abbey.
He's attacking down the outside though. Thompson's covering the inside, but Matt's looking very racy side by side here. Both trying to put the pad down. Thompson, does he squeeze him out onto the curbs? No, he doesn't. This gives Matt a run down into Bridge, which will put him on the outside.
Yeah, but he's also then going to have the inside into Priory, isn't he? Because they're still side by side. Great racing between these two. And now Matt Neal's got the inside line into Priory. Thompson forced to go around the outside, is pushed wide, and Matt Neal's in front. Little bit of contact, and here comes Muller. Ivan Muller senses the opportunity to get into 2nd place now that Matt Neal's got ahead, and the 2 VX Racing teammates side by side, trying not to clash with one another. On board with Ivan Muller. Where's Thompson? There's Thompson. He's still in 2nd. But let's just concentrate on these other battles that are going on in the touring class. Gareth Howell is going to have a go at getting past Anthony Reid himself, and watch out for Tom Chilton. Howell almost alongside his teammate Gavin Piper. They're side by side through Abbey. Reid is going to come back at him though, and now Howell's been squeezed out a little bit, and then it's allowing Tom Chilton to draw alongside, and this is going to go all the way into Bridge Corner, the flat out virtually right-hander, and up towards the left-hander at Priory before it all gets sorted out. It's Piper, Reid, Howell gets back down the inside, and Tom Chilton at the back of the group now. The pit lane is open, and in comes Matt Neal, our race leader. So does James Thompson. So it's a battle between the pit crews, and this is where it's all gone wrong for Honda several times this year, but it's pretty even. Slightly faster from VX Racing, but not by enough to get ahead of Matt Neal. And Honda boys, who've worked so hard on their pit stops, have got him out ahead. Here's Colin Turkington running well up the order as well. Gavin Piper involved in that battle with Anthony Reid we saw a moment ago. Gets going, but that's a slower stop. Let's see, there's Anthony Reid. Piper does get back out in front of Reid. Reid's a bit slow away. Oh, and there's contact between himself and David Leslie, who's trying to get into his pit.
Well, that was a mess up again. Anthony Reid actually drove through his teammate's pit before pulling out onto the main pit lane, and that's what confused him and slowed him down. Poor David Leslie had nowhere to go.
Now this is Ivan Muller coming into the pits for his compulsory pit stop. Let's see how this goes. We saw James Thompson come in, but Matt Neal is in good shape, having made his stop. He got out ahead of Thompson, and he'll hope to be ahead of Muller when Muller comes back onto the track. Very slick, very smooth. Warren Hughes is in the pits at the moment, so is Alan Morrison in the other Honda. They're having service and getting on their way, but it looks like a clean stop from Ivan Muller. But James Thompson and Matt Neal already on track, remember, and Matt Neal, I think, will retain the lead there. He just shoots through the picture, so it's still Matt Neal in front of Ivan Muller. James Thompson will come out just ahead of Muller as well, but the race is run for David Leslie after that contact in the pit lane. But what a good run this is for Matt Neal. Everything coming together. It's about time too. He's had so many problems over the course of this year, and just coming up through back, and there's some smoke actually coming out from underneath his car. Surely not something else to happen here. Thompson's gone past. Matt Neal's broken down again. Well, can you believe it? He had a puncture last time out at Thruxton. He's leading comfortably. He's passed by Ivan Muller, and Matt Neal's out again.
That was definitely an engine problem. There was fluid coming out of the bottom of the car. That's desperate bad luck. Everything had gone right. The team had performed fantastically in the pit stops, got him out in front. What possibly could go wrong more for Matt Neal?
And it should be an easy win in the touring class now for James Thompson. He might have inherited the lead after Matt Neal pulled off at the side of the track. But the reigning champion doesn't mind how the wins come, as long as they do come. And of course, coming into this race, he was some 19 points behind Ivan Muller in the championship. This will really help him close up a little bit, but of course Muller's still in second place, so it's not going to be as much as he would have liked. Nonetheless, a good first race for James Thompson. He comes through to take victory in round 7 of the championship. Ivan Muller takes second place, making it a VX Racing 1-2. And in third place now, because of Warren Hughes having problems, it's going to be Colin Turkington, and that's a great result for the youngster.
Yeah, I'm over the moon with that to get a third for MZ, like, in my my first year as a works driver. It feels absolutely fantastic, and I'm so pleased for the guys. Like they've worked so hard this past few races, and it feels brilliant to give them something back. Like
fantastic. Credit to the boys. Like I say, they worked so hard this last 2 weeks getting the car back to where it should be, and very pleased. Well, I have to say, I feel very sorry for Matt. You know, to be fair, he was a quicker man on the day. Can't take that away from him. But I'm not going to turn this down either.
What a disappointment for Matt Neal, but James Thompson won't be complaining as he collects his third win of the season. Third place for Colin Turkington gave him his first podium of the year. So it's the old rivals and teammates Thompson and Muller on the front row for round 8.
Right, it's the two Vauxhall boys together. Who's it going to be first into Copse? Will it be Thompson or will it be Muller? Away they go. It's Muller with a slightly better start from the outside, slightly lighter car, and indeed he gets ahead. And watch out for Alan Morrison from the second row. We had a Honda stuck at the back. That was Tom Chilton. Looks like he didn't get away at all, but it's side by side, Vauxhall versus Honda through Copse corner. Now can Morrison take up the mantle that Matt Neal has handed him because of failing to finish that first race? Morrison, no, he's been pushed down to third, Tim.
Yeah, an even start at the front, but behind, Tom Chilton stuck on the grid and was very nearly collected by a very fired up Matt Neal, who's already got in front of 2 of the MGs.
Well, Neal's on the charge, but the two Vauxhalls are ahead. It's Muller ahead of Thompson, then it's Alan Morrison. He's chased by Colin Turkington, and then behind Turkington it's Paul O'Neill and Gavin Piper getting off the grid a little better this time as Paul O'Neill has a little look down the inside of Colin Turkington at Abbey Corner. Again, almost alongside on the exit. And we've seen before, if you start a move here, sometimes you don't finish the move until you get into the complex at Priory, Brooklands and Luffield.
Absolutely, there's a little bit of give and take at the moment. They're giving each other some room, getting some heat in the tyres. Very close up front.
Alan Morrison's gone very wide. Oh, he's nearly lost it. Somehow he gets it back together and back on without losing too much time. But Morrison, who was in third, has thrown away a good few places there. Let's see as he comes round. He's come back out in 5th place, just ahead of his teammate Matt Neal, and it's still Turkington versus O'Neill for third.
Morrison just carried a little too much speed into Priory, ran wide, and now he's got dirt all over his tyres.
Ivan Muller and James Thompson already beginning to pull away, as on the attack here comes Paul O'Neill trying to make it a VX Racing 1-2-3, tries to get down the inside of Turkington. Turkington says, I'm not going to make it easy for you, and that's allowed Alan Morrison to close up as well. He's had a good run out of Copse, and now it's becoming a 3-way battle. Turkington in the middle, Morrison nearest us, O'Neill, they make contact into Beckett's. Morrison goes for a spin, he's out across the gravel, nearly puts it up over onto its side, gets it back together. Look, that's allowed Matt Neal to get past both Turkington and O'Neill. Let's take another look at it.
On board with Paul O'Neill, who's clearly up the left, then gets banged by Turkington, who's been banged in turn by Morrison, trying to turn in and claim all of the road from the right-hand side.
And into the pits has come Matt Neal. Now, this is too early for the obligatory pit stop. There must be a problem. Bit of a brake lock up there for Gavin Piper. That could give Hughes the run. But this is definitely a problem for Matt Neal. And also in the pits is James Kay. Now remember, he was leading the independent class before this weekend began, but he's not going any further with that fluid coming out. Let's see what happened.
Well, that was radiator coolant leaking on the floor. We're on board with Kay. On his right is Paul O'Neill, who moves across, cuts him off, and then backs it in front of him and slams into the side of him.
Well, that was a fairly major impact, and that's obviously done a lot of damage to the front of the Honda. O'Neill had gone wide himself and was trying to get back on track, but there is Matt Neal in the Honda. It's all over again. What does this man have to do?
How much bad luck can one man have? It's desperate, but I'm sure Matt is going to win races in the second half of the year, but once again his championship aspirations have stalled.
Well, talking of championship aspirations, the reigning champion comes in for his obligatory pit stop. James Thompson comes in from 2nd place, remember. Ivan Muller has been leading this one from the start. Great slick work once again from VX Racing. We've seen the Vauxhall of James Thompson come into the pits. We've seen Ivan Muller leading in the early stages of this race, and it looks like he's going to come in himself this time. Yes, he does. So he's looking for another slick stop.
Just look at the speed he's carrying into the pit lane. He's flat out here until he comes up to the pit lane speed limit board, which is just there on his right.
Yeah, very quick in. There's an engine out there that's not sounding too clean. Sounds like it's Anthony Reid who's not running very cleanly, although he's still going very quickly. Maybe just a broken exhaust. But Ivan Muller needs a clean stop, and he gets a clean stop as Warren Hughes makes his way into the pits as well. as our race leader is now Paul O'Neill. O'Neill not having been into the pits as yet, so he's now in control of the race for a moment. Meanwhile, great battle here between Colin Turkington and Gavin Piper. We've seen Piper versus a variety of MGs in this race so far, and now it's the youngster he's got to try and get past, but Turkington covers what will be the inside line into Abbey, so Piper's forced to do the brave thing and go all the way around the outside, and even though he's braking as late as possible, he still can't quite do it.
No, good racing between these two. It's really hard to stop the car down into Abbey. It's downhill, it sucks you in, and it's hard to stop the car.
Not far behind them is the Honda of Tom Chilton. Remember, he stalled at the start. Look at Piper, gets down the inside. Oh, that was a classic piece of outbraking. The leader in the production class is still Luke Hines. Just as in race number 1, he's got a comfortable advantage over his teammate this time, Alan Blencoe. Michael Bentwood had a little clash with him earlier on, with Hines had to come into the pit, so he dropped back a little bit. Now look at Turkington and Chilton. Chilton's got the inside. His wing mirror, door mirror rather, goes flying, but he's got past and he gains one more position.
Poor old Colin Turkington's been shuffled down 3 places now, but that was a good move by Tom Chilton. He had half a car's width, shoved his nose up the inside and forced his way through.
Here is our race leader though, it is Ivan Muller, and he is in control. Now that everybody's made their pit stops, Paul O'Neill made a late pit stop, so he's now dropped back down into 5th place, and it means we've got the VX Racing pair up 1st and 2nd. Thompson running in 2nd place. Hughes now up into 3rd, having got past his teammate Anthony Reid. And then we've got this battle for 6th continuing. It's Gavin Piper, Gareth Howell and Tom Chilton.
Chilton's caught up this pair, and I think Gareth Howell is really riding shotgun here. See him protecting the inside line. He's protecting his teammates so that Gavin can score maximum points in the Independence Cup, but it's not going to be easy for him. And he's slowed down.
Yeah, Howell suddenly slow out of Abbey. There was a bit of a nudge from Chilton, but that was because Howell suddenly slowed in front of him, I'm sure. And he's pulling off to the side of the track. Would you believe it? After such a promising run, something's just stopped working. The car just seems to have died, and he's out of the race. Well, that means the battle for 6th is now on between Piper and Chilton, and Piper now, Tim, doesn't have his teammate to help him.
No, he doesn't. Now it's a straight fight, but what bad luck for Gareth Howell. He's made a great impression this weekend on his comeback to touring car racing.
Well, what about Ivan Muller? Everything has gone right for him in this 2nd race. He was 2nd earlier on, remember, to James Thompson, but now things are looking good for him to take the win in race 2 at Silverstone, just coming past Jim Edwards in the production class Honda Accord. And Muller really has just shown that he's been able to get out in front, concentrate what he's doing and pull out a slight advantage each time around, make it look very easy indeed. Ivan Muller comes through to take the win here at Silverstone and maintain his very handy championship advantage. It's win number 4 of the season for him. James Thompson comes through in 2nd place. Warren Hughes takes 3rd, and that's a great effort from 11th on the grid. Anthony Reid in 4th, so MG getting something back after all their hard work. And here's that battle for 6th. Paul O'Neill's come through in 5th, but the battle for 6th still on. Tom Chilton in the Honda. He's on the inside of Gavin Piper. He's had a great exit. It's a drag race to the line. It's Honda versus Vauxhall, and Chilton, I think, is just going to do it. He does. Chilton just takes 6th right on the line, but it's Ivan Muller who wins the 2nd race here at Silverstone.
First, I like to win, but to win with nearly maximum weight, it's fantastic. And again, we proved the Vauxhall is one or maybe the best car of the championship.
About bloody time. That's obviously should have had it in the first race, but that was just very bad luck, and the team and MG don't deserve that sort of luck. I mean, everybody's working so hard, and it's a great car, you know, so that's where we should be on the podium every time.
The championship race takes another twist and another turn at Silverstone as Muller and Thompson share the honours. And a good show here for the MG team with Warren Hughes and Anthony Reid 3rd and 4th. And in terms of the points, Ivan Muller is stretching that lead, 116 points now, ahead of James Thompson with 97. Paul O'Neill, though, still firmly in 3rd. Michael Bentwood leading 92 points with the Production Drivers' Championship, ahead of Luke Hines with 84. VX Racing still out on top, but Honda are making ground, 105 points to MG's 75. In the Manufacturers' Championship, MG with 78 points are now catching Honda in 2nd with 108. Gavin Piper leads the Independence Trophy with James Kay 2nd. next venue was a new experience for touring car fans. This was the BTCC's first ever visit to Rockingham in Northamptonshire. And there was some fantastic racing in store for them. Alan Morrison set the ball rolling with his first ever pole position in the championship. And this was also the first ever all-Honda front row this season. Alan Morrison then in pole, alongside him his teammate Matt Neal. Then comes the championship leader Muller, Paul O'Neill in 4th, Turkington in 5th, Tom Chilton moving up to 6th place, that's his best qualifying. Then Anthony Reid and James Thompson way down in 8th position. Warren Hughes in 9th.
We're all set for round 9 of the championship to get underway. The two Hondas away and Morrison not away very quickly. Matt Neal makes a much better start from the outside of the front row. They don't use the chicane, remember, on the first lap. So it's through the turn 1 banking here at Rockingham and building up the speed, and they're really picking up the speed even from a standing start, and it's down towards the Dean hairpin where it can all go wrong as they try and outbrake. Anthony Reid trying to go down the inside of Ivan Muller. Oh, and he's done it. Oh, and Chilton's gone wide. Tom Chilton goes very wide indeed, loses a whole host of places there, but the other two Hondas are going well. Matt Neal ahead of Alan Morrison, then Anthony Reid, and then Muller with Thompson and Warren Hughes in the battle as well.
Well, it looks like a very wide racetrack, but the corners are tight and slow. The racing line really funnels down, and you can see turning into the hairpin. It's all go there as one of the Vauxhalls gets tipped into a half spin, and Tom Chilton runs wide. Off the racing line, it's very slippery. On the racing line, it's very close for comfort.
Now this was O'Neill, and Eves got in front of him, and then O'Neill ran into the back of him, and Eves hit Carl Breeze, his teammate. Matt Neal in control from Alan Morrison in 2nd, and then Anthony Reid in 3rd place, and Muller having survived that first corner little incident. But we're looking from onboard James Thompson over the rear boot lid of the Astra Coupe straight back at the youngster Colin Turkington in the MG.
Well, James Thompson just trying to hang on to that position. Turkington's MG running considerably lighter in this race, and you can just see it. Extra braking performance, but extra acceleration as well.
Yeah, he's dived down the inside into the Gresson hairpin. Turkington runs wide on the exit, and Thompson comes right back at him again. Up front overall, it's the two Hondas. Matt Neal, who's had so much disappointment this season. He's been on the pace so many times, but it's gone wrong for him. Further back down the order, Colin Turkington now's got Rob Collard alongside him. Collard trying to go all the way around the outside. And remember, Turkington's in a factory car. Collard's in a private car, but that's problems for Turkington. A lot of smoke, and that looks like a pretty major failure.
Well, he's recognised straight away he's in big trouble, pulled over. That smoke really spells one thing, that's an engine.
Back with the two Hondas, and it's Matt Neal just ahead of Alan Morrison. Morrison seems to have closed up just a little bit. Let's ride on board with him here, Chris, as they come through what is turn 4 on the oval, the last corner on the combined track.
Well, this really is a contrast to that tight infield. You can see here absolutely flat out through the shallow banked final turn there, shaving the wall as you go across the start-finish line. A nice wide line into the first corner. Now a chicane, and look at that straight line here. It's only taken a couple of laps. All the marker posts have gone, and look at the momentum Morrison has.
He's going for it, he's going for the lead here, down the inside of his own teammate Matt Neal. He's got down the inside, just trying to grab a gear to get it turned in as he comes through Dean Hairpin, and he's still challenging, but Matt Neal's still with him. Matt Neal has not been beaten yet. He's got the inside line for the right-hander at Yentwood, and Alan Morrison's got to try again up towards Chapman Curve. Will he have the inside here? Neal gives him just enough space, but Matt Neal stays in front.
Well, I think that was generous driving from the teammates. They gave each other just enough space there. Matt Neal just about hanging on to the lead, but where you've got a right-hander leading into a left, it really does pay off if you can just hang on in there on the outside of one curve. It gives you the inside line and the position at the next corner.
Oh, there is that smoke billowing from the car of Colin Turkington, but we've got debris on the track as well, so the safety car has come out. Let's see where the debris came from, Chris.
Well, that's the Proton in front and some debris there. Looks like the side bodywork there.
We're ready for the restart. The two Hondas now, of course, their lead that they'd opened up, now closed right up. Let's see whether Anthony Reid can go on the attack here in the MG. It's still Matt Neal versus Alan Morrison, and whilst these two don't want to take each other off, I don't think there are any team orders. Morrison will be going for the win just as much as Matt Neal as they come down towards the chicane. They use the chicane on the restarts. Oh, and Matt Neal using all the grass and really getting away, and now it's Morrison under attack from Anthony Reid. Reid goes up wide. Oh, and he hits him. Comes across, hits Morrison, and goes into the hairpin, but he's got it too quickly, and Reid goes wide.
Well, it's a fine line to play there between over-aggression and, well, just giving too much room. Reid just tried to squeeze Morrison there, and it, well, didn't work out for him at all, did it?
He's lost out as a result, isn't he? He's dropped down the order into what is, I think, 6th place probably. Let's take another look from the onboard angle.
Well, coming out of the chicane, you can see Morrison on the left, Anthony Reid just trying to squeeze him into a tight line on the inside, but the result is Anthony Reid getting off the racing line and losing places and more places there as the MGs and the Vauxhalls go by.
Yeah, then Rob Collard was alongside him. Let's just see what happened into Yentwood, turning in. Bang! Once again, and Reid really in the wars there. I think they both survived that, but it's all getting a bit exciting. Now, the pit lane has opened up. This is their compulsory pit stop. They have to remove 2 wheels and replace them with brand new tyres, as you can see there on board the Honda of Matt Neal. What a great stop from Honda this time.
Very slick stop, very slick getaway. Same from Vauxhall as well. A bit more wheel spin from Muller there, but he gets away well.
So Matt Neal retains the lead. We've seen Honda beaten in the pit so far this year on a couple of occasions, but this time Matt Neal stays in front of Ivan Muller. But what about Morrison? Morrison was pushing Matt Neal all the time in the early stages of this race. Now, if he can get a quick lap in here, he might be able to get out ahead of Matt Neal.
Careful, got absolutely massive understeer through right-handers, like it's a puncher or something. Okay, Paul, pit this time.
So it sounds like Paul O'Neill's got a bit of trouble. Into the pits this time then comes Alan Morrison. Now, can he get good service here and get out in ahead of Matt Neal? He was racing with his teammate earlier on, needs a good stop. Also into the pits is James Thompson. Thompson not having brand new tyres by the look of it. Looked like they'd already been pre-scrubbed. Both get away well again. And Morrison, now will he get out in front of Matt Neal? Where is Neal? Neal's just coming down through the chicane now. Where does he come out? Oh, that's Matt Neal! Coming right out in front, just ahead of Morrison.
Well, that was a bit too close for comfort. That pit exit comes out just close to the racing line on the exit of the chicane there. And, well, we very nearly lost 2 Hondas there.
Oh, that was so close, wasn't it? It's on board with Anthony Reid. Well, there goes Ivan Muller.
Well, the road is so wide there, it's very difficult to be defensive without costing yourself too much time. And certainly Anthony Reid, he lost a bit of time, lost a position, but he's going to get that position back by the look of it.
He's up the inside of Muller, he hits him, turning into the Chapman curve, and there's more contact there. Muller gets squeezed wide. Meanwhile, look at the leaders. Matt Neal, that is, putting a wheel on the grass, and Alan Morrison's caught him once again. So there's nothing to choose between the 2 Hondas. They are pulling away pretty rapidly from the rest. You have to say there's a big gap back to 3rd place, but Alan Morrison has not given up on this challenge.
Well, he had half an opportunity earlier on there, but chose not to take it.
James Kay's in trouble. That's the Synchro Motorsport Honda. Look at that bumper ripped off Thompson's car. I don't know whether Collard just tapped it. I think he may have done. All sorts of bits and pieces hanging off the cars now. Well, Collard managed to avoid that errant bumper, and it looking good, I have to say, for Matt Neal. The 2 Hondas have opened up nearly 20 seconds advantage. It's the final lap. The Arena Motorsport boys are in team formation, jogging across the pit lane to celebrate this one, because after all the disappointments they've had this season, when they've been in position to win races and it's gone wrong, this time it's come good. It's not just a win, it's a 1-2 finish for Honda. Matt Neal takes the checkered flag here at Rockingham.
It's about time, isn't it? The Irishman made me work for it, though, geez.
But you had a stonking start.
Yeah, if we hadn't got in front at the start, I think it'd have been gone. You know, it's his first set of tyres, he just really worked well, and he was on it. He was properly on it. He was over me like a rash, and then after the pit stop, it just seemed to come to me a bit more. He pushed for a bit, and then it just seemed to go away from him.
First started messed up this year, really, and when I needed it, I didn't get it, but that's my fault. But all congratulations to Matt. He drove a super race, and the Honda, what do you say, 1-2, absolutely fantastic. Great for Honda Racing, Arena Motorsport, everybody.
So Honda took all in round 9 of the championship, and after Matt Neal's early season difficulties, this success will be more than welcome. So Morrison-Neal duo will take the front row for the next race at Rockingham. There'll also be a maximum ballast for Neal.
Let's see what happens. Away they go on the green light, and it's the pole man Matt Neal getting away better than Morrison again. Alan Morrison's going to be really cross with himself here, because both front row starts have not gone too well, although I have to say as they pick up pace through the oval. Morrison is still with Matt Neal. It could be a battle on the brakes. Behind them is Ivan Muller, then Anthony Reid once again. Warren Hughes is in the mix too. The two Hondas turn in safely with Matt Neal just ahead of Morrison and Ivan Muller. Now, I can't believe they're all going to get through here without hitting each other, surely. Well, I think they have done, Chris.
Well, the cars do funnel very tightly into that first turn, but having had a bit of practice in race one, they've got through unscathed so far.
Warren Hughes on the attack of teammate Anthony Reid, but this is allowing the two Hondas to get away. But remember, they are running these cars much more ballast on board. That could make life difficult as Warren Hughes continues the attack on his teammate Anthony Reid.
Well, cones go flying and cars go wide. Here we're on board with Tom Chilton at the start. Just gets a bit bogged down, and you can see the two other Hondas pulling away into the distance, and he's getting swamped now by the other cars around him.
Yeah, that's disappointing. He started on the second row of the grid, 4th place, and he's lost a great many places as a result of that start. Meanwhile, look at Morrison, he's on the attack. Morrison wants to win this second race. He's going around the outside into the chicane, and he's got in front. Oh, he's right across the grass trying to get in front, but he has got in front. Oh, and look at the marker post just disappearing straight away on the first lap. Virtually smoke from Matt Neal. He's in trouble as they turn into the left-hander. So Matt Neal's, well, it looks like it might be more than just a lock-up. There's a lot of smoke. Where the others gone? Oh, Morrison's lost out. Morrison went wide, and now Reid's in front. Anthony Reid's in front. Ivan Muller's in second. A smoky Matt Neal. Well, I think he's going. Yeah, he's pulling off onto the grass there, and so that means that Alan Morrison has gone up into 3rd place. But Matt Neal's luck strikes again. He's out of this one.
Well, that's desperate luck for Matt Neal, but great fortune there for Anthony Reid.
And the pit lane open. Anthony Reid is first to come in from the lead of the race.
Well, a very early stop there from Anthony Reid, just trickling down the pit lane. Let's see how they can turn this car around this time.
MG go to work. We saw some fantastic pit stops from all 3 major manufacturers earlier on, and it looks pretty good again. Just a little bit slow getting away, but the actual tyre change was very rapid. James Thompson is also into the pits.
Again, high revs. He doesn't want to stall that car as he drops onto the deck. Lots of wheel spin there from James Thompson. A stop in 4.9 seconds.
So a good one once again for the Vauxhall crew. Tom Boardman in this battle for 2nd place in the production class, just managing to keep ahead of the BMW. The BMW hitting the rev limiter on the fast sections here at Rockingham. The gearing not quite right, so poor Michael Bentwood has to sit there on the rev limiter, and he's not able to really attack Boardman. Now into the pits comes Ivan Muller. He had taken over the lead after Anthony Reid came into the pits. So now Muller comes in, and it will be fascinating to see, will they get him back out ahead of the MG? This is where the battle is now, but the MG stop for Anthony Reid did look pretty good.
Well, it was a good stop there. This is looking like not a bad one either from the Vauxhall team. Lots of wheel spin there. That's going to cost him some time.
So Warren Hughes in at the same time, but where is Anthony Reid? He's just coming through there. Anthony Reid stays in front, I think, as Ivan Muller heads out onto the circuit. The MG was just in front, so there we are. Effectively, Anthony Reid has maintained the lead. Once everybody's made their stops, Reid in front of Muller with quite a handy little advantage there. And MG looking much stronger here at Rockingham than we've seen them all season so far. And look at Warren Hughes and James Thompson, the two of them having quite a tussle.
Well, the two MGs should be benefiting from slightly less ballast after the first race, but so too is James Thompson. He's not running too heavily either.
And that's a Honda going slowly. It's Morrison, Alan Morrison, with smoke pouring out from underneath the car. Another retirement. That means both lead Hondas are out. Tom Chilton's still in the race, but both Matt Neal and Alan Morrison have gone out, and that bad luck seems to be striking again. Here goes the battle for 2nd in production class. This time Michael Bentwood's got up the inside into that final hairpin, but can he stay in front on the fast section? Because Boardman's Peugeot is very fast in a straight line.
Well, the BMW very good and stable on the brakes, but the Peugeot looks to be accelerating very quickly out of the corners.
So in behind Bentwood he comes as they come through what is turn 4 on the oval, and he's hit him. He's made contact with Bentwood. Bentwood spins, hits him as well, and into the wall as Boardman tries to recover, gets it pointed straight, but Bentwood has gone pretty heavily into that concrete wall. He's the first of the touring cars, or of the production cars, to hit the wall here at Rockingham this weekend, and that was a pretty hefty hit.
But he certainly didn't do it all on his own there. Boardman just tucks into the rear there, just turns him round, and there's nothing much that Bentwood can do about it. He's heading for the wall. Well, the Peugeot gets away with it, but that's a heavy impact for the BMW, wrecked front and rear.
Safety car lights are out on the roof there, so that means we're ready for the restart. Now, Anthony Reid had a good advantage before the safety car came out for the accident with Michael Bentwood. He now has to get on with the restart. He's got the power on, and I think he sold them a bit of a dummy. That's a great restart from Anthony Reid. Got on the power, and he's caught out even the championship leader, Ivan Muller, in second place. Then it's Warren Hughes, and then James Thompson still looking for a chance to catch Muller and pass him and gain some useful points. But what a good restart from Reid there.
Well, the race leader controls the pace of the restart, and he certainly did do that. He's got himself a nice amount of breathing space.
Down into the hairpin. Oh, and Reid's locked up. Reid's locked up, and Hughes has gone down the inside. Reid's going all the way around the outside. He's nearly lost it, and that's allowed everyone else through. Warren Hughes side by side. It's Thompson in front now. James Thompson, he was fourth a moment ago. Now he's in front, but he's pushed by his own teammate, Ivan Muller. Ian Harrison won't like to see them making contact, but I think it's just no holds barred now. We've only got a few laps to the checker flag. Let's see what happened to Reid.
Well, maybe his rear tyres cooled down a little bit while they were following the safety car. He locked his rear up and slid wide, but well, a bit of a mistake there from an experienced race leader like Anthony Reid.
Yeah, look at him now trying to fight his way back. He's getting past Thompson. Well, he's trying to get past Thompson, I should say. He's side by side. Muller's got back in front. Thompson back down to second, but it might not be for much longer because Reid's had a great run on him.
Well, he won't like the situation of losing the race lead the way he did. He'd be desperate to get that place back, and he looks like he's in a good position to do it.
But watch Warren Hughes, he's going for it as well into the chicane, three abreast down into the chicane. Oh, Hughes manages to somehow get in front of Thompson, and the MG boys can't quite believe that. It looked for a moment as though we were headed for disaster, but and in fact Thompson has got back in front of Hughes again, but Hughes locks up, Reid locks up. Makes you wonder whether they've got a problem on the brakes there or something, as Hughes just nudges Thompson out the way to make it through the corner.
Well, he takes the position quite forcefully there, but ahead of him Anthony Reid just stretching his legs again now. He's got the race leader in his sights. He knows he's got the pace to catch him, but will he? Has he got enough time?
Well, we're into the closing stages of this race. It might be tough for him. This is the battle for second in the production class. Alan Blenko behind his own teammate Luke Hines, who's got a comfortable lead, but Tom Boardman's right behind him. And look at the weather change. We've got rain on the windscreen of Warren Hughes' car.
Well, there's a lot of oil on those screens already, so visibility is quite tricky, but really the track surface is getting a bit slippery now. Very difficult conditions to read for these guys.
Warren Hughes running in third place, and you can just see Anthony Reid up ahead of him, but I don't think Reid's going to have enough time, enough traction, enough grip to catch this man, Ivan Muller. He has survived what has been a bruising encounter. He's on the last section of the final lap in race 2 here at Rockingham. What an incredible 2 races we've had. Bits of bodywork still dangling from Ivan Muller's car, but the championship leader has survived all of that. He's just got to bring it through the banking for the final time and take the checkered flag to win the second race here. And what an important result that is. Anthony Reid finishes in second place, Warren Hughes in third, but the MGs know they could have won that race.
What a bloody plonker. That's me I'm talking about. That was a free win. It was a gift. MG proved they got the quickest car today in the second race, and after the restart, you know, my brakes were a little bit cold. When I went to push the brakes went to the floor. Only the rear brakes worked, and screwed up. Simple as that.
I'm seriously hacked off, really, that I didn't get I thought I had the lead, but it's just some, you know, I'm probably guilty of it as well. But you know, you just got to go for it, and it was just a free for all at the end. And I'm pleased I didn't lose out to Thompson, but I'm hacked off that I didn't do Muller. But we'll get him.
Condition was hard, warm at the beginning, then a bit colder, then rain, big fight with the MG, big fight with Jimmy as well. Fantastic result.
So Ivan Muller collects another 15 points for his championship challenge, while Thompson and Hughes lose ground in the Drivers' Championship. The MG team was celebrating too, though, at Rockingham. A second and third for Reid and Hughes shows significant improvement for them. Muller now with a 31-point lead ahead of Thompson. Paul O'Neill still third, but Matt Neal now on the move with 56 points. In the Production Drivers' Championship, Luke Hines now leads the way with 106 points. Michael Bentwood drops down to second with Blenko in third. VX Racing, 248 now to Honda's 143. And in the manufacturers, 304 points for Vauxhall with Honda 152 and MG 109. In the Independence Trophy, Gavin Piper just leads Robert Collard. Both the British Summer and the BTCC had arrived at Croft in North Yorkshire for rounds 11 and 12 of the season. There were 20,000 touring car fans to see whether Matt Neal and James Thompson could get any closer to Ivan Muller. He was carrying maximum ballast, which didn't help him in qualifying. And it was Thompson who took his 4th pole position of the season. But right behind him were 3 Hondas, Matt Neal in 2nd place, then Alan Morrison, and then Tom Chilton with his best qualifying. Paul O'Neill took 5th, and then Ivan Muller with that maximum ballast was in 6th. Anthony Reid 7th in the MG, alongside him his teammate Warren Hughes.
So we're all set to go. 25 laps of the Croft circuit coming up. The red lights are on. They switch to green and away they go on the front row of the grid. And it's a great start from Matt Neal in the Honda. He slices across ahead of James Thompson on the run down towards Clairvaux for the first time. And indeed, James Thompson's been pushed back down to 3rd place. Alan Morrison's in there. So it's the 2 Hondas, 1st and 2nd. And behind them, the Vauxhalls. And it's James Thompson who's next up. And then Paul O'Neill is there. Now, what's happened to Ivan Muller? There's Muller. Ivan Muller's off at the first corner, Tim.
Well, drama immediately. This is the first time that Ivan Muller's failed to finish a race. He's had a tremendous record so far, but he'll be ruining that first corner.
Well, we'll have to see if we can find out what happened there. But Matt Neal is the one with the race lead. Ivan Muller out of the car. He's not happy at all. Let's see what happened.
This is in car with Dan Eves. We've got Muller and his teammate Paul O'Neill just in front. Paul O'Neill hits the inside curb, jumps out and knocks Muller wide.
So the 2 teammates there making contact, and also in trouble is Rob Collard. So Matt Neal trying to step away a little bit from Alan Morrison, and Morrison's got to watch out a little bit because, of course, the reigning champion James Thompson is in 3rd place. Then it's Paul O'Neill. 4th place for the Vauxhall driver. Then right behind is Anthony Reid. Reid pushing on in the MG. Then it's Dan Eves. There's Tom Chilton, Warren Hughes, Colin Turkington, Carl Breeze, who's going quite well. First outing in the GA Motorsport Vauxhall Astra for him, of course. He's made the switch, and here comes Reid. Reid makes the move on Paul O'Neill, and that puts him up into 4th place. And that was a late lunge down the inside.
It was a late lunge, but a very effective one. He blocked past him, got up the inside, managed to ease him out a little bit wide on the exit. Good pass by Anthony.
So 4th place for the MG now, going after the Vauxhall of James Thompson. Tom Boardman leads in the production class. Michael Bench was 2nd. This is the battle for 3rd, and Luke Hines has just got up the inside there of Jim Edwards. So Luke Hines, who leads the points in the production class, into a clear 3rd place, but that's maybe not so clear. Oh, and something's happened to Phil Bennett down at the first corner. I wonder what's going on here.
Well, he's got some damage on the front, so I guess he's run wide. We're looking at a replay now. He's run wide through Clairvaux, gets into the gravel, sideways. He's totally out of control now. Out and bullseye, straight through the middle of the tyres.
Well, not great for Phil Bennett, but look at this battle as well. Anthony Reid still under attack from Paul O'Neill. O'Neill hits Reid. He's completely crossed up. Sideways gathers it back together, and Paul O'Neill's gone past. But that was a little bit of a brutal way of doing things.
It was effective, but certainly not the way the textbook suggests. Just on board now, and he locks up over the bumps, has nowhere to go, slams in the back of Reedy, who does a brilliant job not to spin.
And just a little lock-up of the brake for Irishman Morrison. Morrison yet to win a round of the British Touring Car Championship this year, but at the moment he's just got to work hard on defending 2nd place. And in fact, Matt Neal coming into the pits, and so does James Thompson. So early pit stops being made here by both the race leader and the man in 3rd place. Now, what's going to happen in this pit lane battle? We've seen places change this year as a result of pit stops. That looked pretty good from the Honda crew. Away gets Matt Neal. Oh, and that's just as Anthony Reid comes in. Almost contact.
Very close. Good safe pit stop by the Honda crew. Brand new tyres going on the front of Matt Neal's car. Scrub tyres going on the front of Anthony Reid's.
Reid gets away safely. Good clean stops, as you say, and Matt Neal stays in front of James Thompson. So, of course, this means that Alan Morrison is now our race leader. Let's see if he comes in. Yes, he does. He holds a tight line out of the hairpin, down in towards the pits then. It's quite a tight pit lane here, isn't it?
Very tight, but they must get the speed down to that 64 kilometres before they hit the line.
Stops in exactly the right place. and the front wheels are changed. According to the rules, they have to change 2 wheels, up to them which they change, but of course all these front-wheel drive cars changing their front wheels, and Warren Hughes coming into the pits at the same time, putting scrub tyres on the front of the MG. Oh, that was a pretty good stop, 5.1 seconds. Great work from all the crews in the pit lane. As they come back out, Alan Morrison has, I think, managed to come out just ahead of Thompson. Yes, he has.
Yep, status quo exactly as they were before, so that'll be really frustrating James Thompson. He'll be disappointed about his start. He's really struggled to get the car off the line consistently well this year, and that's why he's back in third.
Well, Thompson's having a busy time of it at the moment. He's also competing in the British Rally Championship. He was very rapid on the recent Jim Clark Memorial Rally, led the rally at one point, winning some of the stages. A bit different here at Croft, of course. Here's our race leader in the production class, and he's got a pretty healthy lead over Michael Bentwood in second. It's Tom Boardman looking for another victory.
Tom trying to sort of re-establish his reputation after that disastrous Rockingham outing when he touched the back of the BMW and sent him in the wall, and this is the best possible reply.
Yeah, things looking good for Boardman at the moment, but Morrison's going slowly here, very slowly indeed. What's happened here? Alan Morrison, he was running in second place. Oh, that's what's happening. That left front wheel is not very well attached. In fact, it comes off completely. Rolls across the track, just missed by Carl Breeze. End of race, like by the looks of things, for Alan Morrison.
Well, that's a recurrence of the problems they had earlier in the year. We thought they were all overcome, but absolute disaster and gifting James Thompson second place.
On board with Tom Chilton. Oh, look ahead, Warren Hughes has gone off. Disappears into the cornfield. And what happened there?
Warren, what happened? I'm up in the cornfield. Eve's just almost stopped in the middle of the fast stuff, and I had nowhere to go, and I just spun it.
Now we've got a good battle going on further back here. This is the battle for 7th place. Carl Breeze, Tom Chilton, David Leslie and Paul Wallace. They're all in the battle.
David Leslie, a wily old campaigner, sneaks inside Paul Wallace, and now he's got to run side by side down the straight into Clervaux.
Well, Carl Breeze is leading this little group. He's got Tom Chilton bearing down on him. A bit of damage done already to the right front of Carl Breeze's Astra.
And not for the first time either. He's done it 3 or 4 times in practice and qualifying, but there's a very simple explanation. It's the first time he's driven a left-hand drive touring car, and he's underestimated the width of the car and keeps hitting the tyres. I think he needs to buy a left-hand drive road car to practice on.
Well, he seems to be doing reasonably well nonetheless, as our top 2 come through, and Matt Neal still in charge of this race from James Thompson. It's all looking good. It looks as though Matt Neal is heading for his 3rd victory of the season. That will put him on the same number of wins as the man behind him, James Thompson. Both of them a little behind Muller on 5 wins, but it's Matt Neal who comes through to take that 3rd win of the season for Honda, and the boys are absolutely delighted with that. James Thompson finishes 2nd, Paul O'Neill in 3rd, but Matt Neal's the man who's most delighted here. Absolutely brilliant drive from the front.
You're chuffed that you got such a good start.
Yeah, and then I was mindful of where Alan was, Alan and Tom were up to, and then I saw Alan got in front of James into the first corner, and I thought we were away. I thought we were on for a 1-2, which would have been absolutely fantastic for Honda Racing because the car's been on it all weekend.
James, not the best of starts, I'm afraid to say.
It wasn't one of my greatest, to be fair. But, yeah, ambushed into the first corner by those pesky Hondas. But, no, I was disappointed. The hard work in qualifying was all wasted, really.
James Thompson and Matt Neal make up vital ground on Ivan Muller, and in the second race there's another chance as Muller was back to 16th on the grid, with Neal and Thompson 1st and 2nd, where they'd finished in round 11.
Away we go, Matt Neal making an initial break, but did he make a good start or not? Let's see as they head down towards Clervaux. Well, Matt Neal has got away well, but James Thompson has not got away particularly well. Paul O'Neill's come up into 2nd place. Dan Eaves again pushing Anthony Rees in there as well. Oh, and sideways in the middle, that was Carl Breeze. One of the MGs shoots across, that's Warren Hughes, taking a very different line to everybody else. And as ever, it gets a bit frantic through that first corner.
It's very narrow on the first corner. There's absolutely no runoff. The track ends and the gravel begins, and therefore there was a bit of contact there. Looks like Warren Hughes is slowing up. He must have been in there somewhere. On board with James Thompson at the start, and he just bogs down a little bit and doesn't get that initial drive. Through goes Matt Neal, and through goes his teammate Paul O'Neill, and a fast starting Dan Eves, but he's got no option now but to charge down the outside and take the risk of staying on the track. He carries good speed, gets past Paul O'Neill, brilliant, up to second place.
So James Thompson is into second place. There he is, right behind Matt Neal. It's Paul O'Neill in third place, Anthony Reid in fourth position, and then Dan Eves in fifth place in the Peugeot 307. But Matt Neal, remember, now has a lot of ballast on board this Honda, and he's not getting away as Paul O'Neill here has a little look up the inside into the hairpin. Contact with his own teammate, James Thompson.
Well, Paul's hit James Thompson in this race. He Van Muller in the first race. I think he's going to have to buy his own motorhome to hide out in.
Well, across the line they come. Matt Neal in the lead with Thompson and Paul O'Neill, then Anthony Reid in fourth, and behind them Dan Eves under pressure there from Tom Chilton in the other Honda. Remember, Ivan Muller and Alan Morrison both trying to work their way up from the back of the touring class. They've already picked off a few, so we'll keep our eyes on to see whether they're going to be able to catch up towards the leaders. But for the moment, Anthony Reid here is the one who's closing up on Paul O'Neill. They're coming down towards Tower, the right-hander where they actually made contact, remember. Paul O'Neill hit Reid here earlier. Reid comes back down the inside and makes it look very simple to get past. And trouble here for Daniel Buxton, the man making his debut in the Tourers, and it looks as though his race is run. Meanwhile, back with the race leaders, and again, Matt Neal is not breaking away.
How different is this to the first race? Now with 42 kilos of ballast, Matt just can't stretch it away despite a clear track in front of him, and Tomo's looking very, very aggressive behind him.
So is Anthony Reid. Remember, he's got past Paul O'Neill already to move up into third place, up towards the hairpin, and Reid's gone down the inside. He gets past James Thompson. He really caught James Thompson out there, but he's moved cleanly into second. There is Daniel Buxton's car still being worked on, and it really doesn't look very promising for him to be back out in this race.
They'd like to get it out to score some points, but I don't think that car's going anywhere. Look at Reedy now up behind Matt Neal. That he came from a very long way back and just got through in time.
That's to the lead, so Anthony Reid and the MG's got past, and Thompson as well. He's got past Matt Neal, who lost momentum as a result of that, and he's dropped to third place, and now it's all changed. Anthony Reid leads this race, James Thompson's in second, and Matt Neal's back down in third. David Leslie's car being worked on furiously by the Proton mechanics. Some problem with the bonnet. They're taping it up busily there. Now the leaders coming past us once more. Anthony Reid in front. He's pulled away quite a bit. James Thompson in second. Now further back, Ivan Muller getting past O'Neill. He's already got past Tom Chilton. And now Muller beginning to make his presence felt. That's put him up into fourth place already.
And not far behind either. It just shows how fast this Astra is running this light. He's making full use of it. Remember, we haven't had a safety car. He's done this on pure pace.
Matt Neal's going to have his work cut out here. He's got Paul O'Neill close behind, and in fact the pit stop's beginning to be made now. Just saw Ivan Muller peel off, coming into the pits for his pit stop. Also coming in was Matt Neal, and we'll just have to see how this one goes. Honda's stops have been pretty good, I have to say, over the last couple of races. They go to work, and yeah, pretty quick, 5.3 seconds. No sign of Muller, though. Where's Muller? He should be ahead of Matt Neal. He was ahead of him coming in.
He came in front of him, so there's been a problem with Muller's pit stop, but a great stop by the Honda team. No problem there, just over 5 seconds. Muller now coming out the pit lane behind him.
Yeah, that was a long stop from Ivan Muller.
And look underneath Muller's car, you can see the air jack hanging down. So clearly they've had a problem in the pit lane, because that's a rear air jack stuck down on the ground.
So a lot of time lost effectively there for Ivan Muller. He came in well ahead of Matt Neal, and he comes out quite a long way behind him. So he's on the attack once again. I hope that jack hanging down doesn't make too much difference. Anthony Reid, the race leader. Well, of course, everything was going well for him at Rockingham until the safety car came out late in the race. There's still some way to go in this one. He's still got his pit stop to deal with. Is he coming in this time? Yes, he is. So they need a good, clean pit stop. The pressure's on the West Surrey boys here. And let's see whether MG Sport and Racing can get a clean stop for their man.
Oh, how important is this pit stop for Anthony Reid and MG? It's got to go like clockwork. So far, so good. Wheels on, hands up, off in 4.6 seconds. Fantastic.
That's the fastest we've seen. 4.6 seconds. And they get him on his way once again. And Team WSR really have produced the goods for Anthony Reid there. He rejoins ahead of Dan Eves, but once all the stops have been made, he should still be comfortably in front. This is the battle for third place that's going on between Matt Neal and Ivan Muller. Muller has already got past Neal once in this race so far. He's got to do it all over again.
Ivan Muller's certainly got the pace, but all the time he's stuck behind Matt Neal. He's losing track position to Anthony Reid and James Thompson further up the road.
Yes, those two are well ahead at the moment. Anthony Reid has a very comfortable advantage, I have to say, but Muller's on the attack. Down towards Barcroft and then into Sunny in and Sunny out. That's what these two corners are called. There's not much space to get past here, but what Muller's trying to do is set himself up for the end of the lap.
That's absolutely right. He's trying to pressurise Matt into little mistakes. He made him defend going into Sunny, and he's defending now coming up to the end of the lap. So he's basically all over him, just looking for a gap.
Into the S bend and then up towards the hairpin. Now he might try and make a dive up the inside. We've seen Anthony Reid very effective here, but no, Muller doesn't do that. And meanwhile, Tom Chilton's gone off, and he's by the side of the track. And here we go, Muller and Neal are now side by side down the straight. Now who's going to get the edge? Absolutely nothing. There are just millimetres separating those two cars.
Nothing there at all. They're both, who's going to break the latest? We know it's tough on the outside. Muller locks up, slots in behind, doesn't run out wide. Now they're up to the Hawthorns bend, and Muller gets an inside edge, gets an inside line. Can he push alongside? Yes, he can, but there's only one car can get into the chicane first, and it's Muller.
Oh, that was great stuff from Ivan Muller, squeezing his way through there. He's been setting Matt Neal up for almost a whole lap, and he finds an unusual place to get through. Tom Chilton with some damage, but he is rejoining by the looks of things. Anthony Reid, the race leader, is on his last lap, and he has dominated this race. There has been no safety car like there was at Rockingham, which closed them up, and then of course Reid made that tremendous mistake under braking for the hairpin, overcooked it completely and lost the lead of the race. This time he's been in control ever since he got in front, and I don't think he's going to make a mistake now.
He's driven an exemplary race, aggressive at the start, good touring car driving, and then not a mistake for the rest of the race, and good teamwork as well.
Anthony Reid comes through to win round 12 of the British Touring Car Championship. It's the first win of the season for MG. Delight for the boys. Second place for James Thompson, and third for Ivan Muller. But MG have done it. They came so close at Rockingham last time out, and this time Anthony Reid has delivered. He can now celebrate what has become a long overdue first victory of 2003.
We were encouraged at Rockingham getting second and third, so to go one stage further here with the first is very happy for everyone, because there has been a lot of hard work going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, I'm pleased. Before the race, my engineer say, okay, if you can bring 3 or 4 points at home, we will be happy. I think we done a bit better. Unfortunately, my engineer and myself, we done a small mistake on the pit stop. I lost too much time compared to Jimmy, and that cost us the second place. But podium is good from where I start.
So success at last for the MG team, who've had to wait for the second half of the season for their first victory. Also at Croft, Matt Neal and James Thompson made vital ground on the leader, Ivan Muller. Muller's lead then reduced to 17 points. Matt Neal now within 4 points of Paul O'Neill in third. In the Production Drivers' Championship, Luke Hines out on top with 131 points. Michael Bentwood still chasing with 122. And VX Racing with 292 now to Honda's 176. MG Sport still ahead of Petronas. Vauxhall lead the manufacturers with a massive 353 points. Honda and MG continue to battle. In the Independence Trophy, Robert Collard now takes the lead with 92 points. Gavin Piper drops to second with James Kay still in third. Celebrations then for Anthony Reid. A happy day for MG. It looked like one of those lazy summer's days at Snetterton, but there was a packed schedule here as the drivers had to fit qualifying and 2 races into just one day. James Thompson was fastest in qualifying, and if everything went right for him today, he would lead the championship. Thompson then in pole, Matt Neal in second place, then Tom Chilton in third, Colin Turkington in 4th place, Paul O'Neill in 5th, then Warren Hughes, Ivan Muller down in 7th place, with Morrison in 8th.
So there we go, all set to race here at Snetterton. The red lights change to green and away we go. And the front row gets underway and it's a good start from Matt Neal. Oh, and there's an accident behind them. Right behind them, Warren Hughes has run into Colin Turkington. Tom Chilton's involved. Oh, cars trying to avoid it all. Michael Bentwood's in the middle of that. And we've got somebody else off. That looks like Carl Breeze. And Tim, we've got cars just about everywhere there.
Well, it's 10 years since we had the last major pile-up on the start line here, caused by the same thing, this tightly packed grid, and it looked like Warren Hughes trying to squeeze between the row in front.
Let's see from on board Warren Hughes.
Hughes makes a good start, bit of wheel spin from Chilton Turkington, he goes in between and it just turns the cars into each other. That's a disaster for MG.
Well, Warren Hughes managed to continue. Let's take another look. Now, this was with Michael Bentwood in the BMW. Now, he made a brilliant start. Look at this, getting past a load of the touring cars.
Well, he's made a great start, the rear-wheel drive, but it's just driven him straight into trouble. He collects the back of Turkington's car. Great restart now. Let's go with Honda at the front.
Yeah, it's Matt Neal who leads. He got away very cleanly indeed, and Alan Morrison going with him. So we've got the two Hondas, first and second. James Thompson in third place. Then it's Paul O'Neill and Ivan Muller. Remember, of course, James Thompson trying to close up the points gap to Ivan Muller in the overall championship. And a change between the two MGs. Warren Hughes was just being passed in the background there by his teammate Anthony Reid. And actually, it looks to me, oh, big weave from Hughes. He's got problems with that car.
He's got a puncture on the right front wheel. And you're probably thinking, why on earth didn't he stop under the safety car? But he probably didn't realise going around at slow racing speed until he speeded up. And then he's got the puncture. So disaster for him.
Disappointment for GA as well. There's Carl Breeze out of the car. That car got a hefty whack as a result of that start line shunt. So here we are back with the race leaders, and it is Matt Neal who's already won 3 races and he's coming into the pits. So he's one of the first to make their pit stops here, and coming in behind him as well is the Frenchman Ivan Muller, the championship leader. So this is a crucial stop for both the Honda and Vauxhall crews. Let's see first of all what happens to Matt Neal. Do they get a good clean stop? A brand new tyre going on this side. Everything looks to be pretty good, and away goes Matt Neal. Ivan Muller's car still up on the jack at the moment. Now it's dropped, and that looked like a fairly even stop between the two teams. Now, a moment ago, look at this. That was Phil Bennett following Rob Collard into the pits, and Collard took out the speed limit sign. Well, I hope he doesn't get a penalty for that.
Well, everyone tries to get in the pit lane as fast as they can, and that pit board is the last point at which they can slow down.
Alan Morrison and Paul O'Neill stopping at the same time, and again the same situation. Morrison comes out just ahead, and look as they come back out again. That's not Matt Neal in front. Matt Neal's just behind them. Tom Chilton that was coming through. He's not yet stopped. So these two have both gained on Matt Neal. He went in the lead, remember. Oh, problems there, I'm afraid, for Danny Buxton. Looks as though it's a mechanical issue that's put him out, as in comes James Thompson.
Yeah, this will be a critical pit stop. Let's see how the VX Racing team go to work.
So these boys normally very rapid. It looks good. 5.72 seconds. Away he goes. Now, he was in third before all the pit stops were being made, remember. But Matt Neal has dropped down behind Alan Morrison. We're on board with Matt Neal. Matt Neal, and there's Thompson comes out right in front of him. Now, can Matt Neal get back at him?
Well, how close was that on the exit of the pit lane and into riches for the first time?
And there's James Kay, leader in the independent class, coming under attack from a similar car. It's another Honda, but of course it's the works Honda of Tom Chilton.
Yes, I should think James Kay will probably concede here to Tom Chilton. James is leading the independence class. He doesn't want to upset Honda. He needs all the help he can get from them, but doing a great job and with a comfortable lead in the independence. Yes, Tom Chilton goes through safely.
That's for 7th position overall then, but James Kay still leads in the Hilton independence class, and he'll be keen not to make a mistake here with Chilton and just look for a decent finish himself. Up front then, it is Alan Morrison who leads. All the pit stops have been made, and it's Morrison in front for Honda. Remember, he ran second at the start of the race behind his teammate Matt Neal, but Matt Neal's struggling a little bit. He's lost out in the pit stops. He's back down in 4th place, and it's the two Vauxhalls behind Alan Morrison that are applying the pressure, and it's Paul O'Neill that's the fastest of the Vauxhalls. Not always the case, but here at Snetterton he looks fantastic.
He really does. You can see the cars using all the width of the road and more, and that's a feature here at Snetterton, where the cars often run off the track and drag dirt back on with them.
Ivan Muller's got past Matt Neal. Look at this. So Muller's on a bit of a charge, and Matt Neal definitely struggling a touch in this second segment of this race. Top 3 come through, and then it's the battle for 4th. Muller now just ahead of Matt Neal. I wonder if Neal's going to be able to attack. There's a lot of dirt down there. Looks like somebody's run a bit wide coming out of the S's. Let's take a look. Oh, Morrison's been passed by Paul O'Neill. Morrison's back down his second, and now James Thompson's on the charge here, and Thompson's going past. Well, that all looked too easy. Surely Morrison must have some sort of problem.
I suspect Morrison went off the track on the exit of the S's, and that's what brought all the dirt on. Listen to his engine, he's on 3 cylinders. Well, he's either ingested a load of dirt or it's done something to the ignition timing, but he's not going to go much further.
And that means that Paul O'Neill now leads this race. There's Alan Morrison. Yeah, it sounds terrible. So that car is not going to win this race, that's for sure. I don't even know if it's going to finish the race. And there is Michael of the Honda team, and he is not happy at all. Poor Alan Morrison. Oh, it has pulled off. He's not won a race yet this year, and yet this race looked to be his. Pretty much sewn up, but now it's Paul O'Neill, and in fact he's got his own teammate James Thompson to worry about.
Well, we have, and as we start the last lap, we can't forget, can we, that race at Brands Hatch where Paul O'Neill lost it on the last bend. Is it the same thing going to happen again? He's defending, and Thompson's got close.
He has got very close. He's going to have a little attack, perhaps down towards the bomb hole. They turn into the quick right-hander. Oh, Thompson gets sideways. That will have cost him some time. Now it's the quick right-hander at Corham, about 100 miles an hour through here, and Paul O'Neill's just got to keep his head, keep it all under control, not make a mistake. The last corner coming up. It's the last corner at Brands Hatch where it went wrong for him when Matt Neal hit him, but there's no one close to him, and Paul O'Neill's going to take his second ever touring car win, his first of 2003, and he's fought off his experienced teammates to do it. Paul O'Neill wins at Snetterton, and it's a 1-2-3 for Vauxhall, with Thompson second and Ivan Muller in third.
Something happened on the start. I just tried to keep out the way. Like Chilton got a bad start. Warren was hit someone spun. And I was a bit concerned because Ivan was giving me a hard time, hitting me up the back. But fair play, Rubbins Racing, as Dick Trickle said, or whatever his name is.
And you can't say fairer than that. That was Paul O'Neill's second ever British Touring Cars victory, and that meant all the VX Racing team had scored this season. James Thompson and Ivan Muller made it another Vauxhall 1-2-3. Therefore, those were the grid positions going into the next race.
Well, we saw a dramatic first race. Let's see what's going to happen this time around. Another 25 laps to go here at Snetterton. Oh, Paul O'Neill creeping a little bit as the lights change there. And O'Neill gets away well, but look at Matt Neal in the Honda on the outside here. He's blasted past James Thompson, and he's going on the attack as they come up towards Riches, the first corner. Will he sweep all the way around the outside of Paul O'Neill? O'Neill bobbles over the curb slightly through the corner. They're still side by side as they head down towards an even tighter right-hander at Sear. Oh, somebody spun in the background. That's Jim Edwards and Jason Hughes and Jay Wheels rejoining the track. But what a battle we've got going up front, Tim, because Matt Neal made a great getaway.
No question, Matt Neal gets the award for the fastest start of this year, and he and James Thompson and Paul O'Neill all gave each other racing room, which was really good. But down into the S's for the first time, it's Matt Neal on the inside, Paul O'Neill on the outside. Paul O'Neill have the right-hand line for the tight right-hander, but look at Muller trying to get up the inside of Neal.
Yeah, he's trying to take second place away side by side. Oh, they all go to the bomb hole together, almost all three together there in echelon, turning into the right-hander, and they all emerge safely, and it's still O'Neill from Matt Neal and Ivan Muller getting squeezed out.
We've got a drive-through penalty for a jump start. Pit at the end of this lap. Push all the way to the end, pit, and then drive through.
Well, that's the team talking to Paul O'Neill.
Copy that, but I'm coming this lap. That was not a jump start. Yeah, don't worry about it, mate. Just creep in a bit on the start. All you've got to do is come in, drive through the pit lane on the speed limiter and go straight back out.
Oh, that's a great disappointment for Paul O'Neill. Let's take another look at it, Tim.
The car is definitely rolling at the start. He hasn't really done the clutch, but it is moving, and the rules say the car must be stationary, so I'm afraid it's his fault. He'll have to take his penalty like a man.
So disappointment for the man who won earlier on today. He's currently there in third place. Matt Neal is the race leader, James Thompson in second, Paul O'Neill currently in third, but we're expecting him to come into the pits this time. Look at this battling that's going on behind. Phil Bennett trying to get past Alan Morrison, and just ahead, there's Rob Collard all over the back of Ivan Muller. Collard leading the independence class, and once again, as we've seen before this year, attacking the works cars as Paul O'Neill obeys the signal to come through.
But look at this damage further back.
Yeah, that was Tom Chilton hitting Colin Turkington. We're riding with Turkington, who's now been passed by Chilton, Hughes and by David Leslie, all in one move virtually there. So So it's a physical encounter this, not only near the front but further down the order as well. And everybody jostling for position. There is that group. Chilton ahead of the two MGs. There's David Leslie in the Proton just staying ahead of Colin Turkington, who's got the two Peugeot 307s, the two Team Halfords cars right behind him. And they're going to go on the attack now as they come over the line. Turkington really being compromised now. Dan Eves gone to his outside. That's Danny Buxton we're looking at, coming up towards Riches, who will be later on the brakes. Turkington brakes late. Oh, and Dan Eves has lost it. Oh, and Buxton hits him in avoidance, trying to go round the outside. Buxton's in the field.
Oh, what disaster for Team Halfords. I mean, no fault there of Danny Buxton. He was merely trying to avoid his totally sideways teammate. But look at the damage going in the cornfields done.
St Muller's in trouble. Ivan Muller pulling over to one side and allowing people to go past, and Ivan Muller, the championship leader, is in trouble. Well, this is huge story because James Thompson could really close the gap up now in the overall championship.
Thompson will take the lead in the championship if they finish as they are. This is Muller's first mechanical retirement of the year. This is disaster for him. He's going to see Thompson take the lead in the championship.
Warren Hughes has got his teammate Colin Turkington right behind him again. Remember, we saw Hughes get past Turkington a little while ago. Now Turkington's on the attack, trying to get down the inside of his teammate. Now through the bomb hole up towards Coram, and he's still having a go. He's still up the inside, side by side, almost contact, but Turkington, the 21-year-old, squeezes past his more experienced teammate. Now James Thompson comes into the pits, and of course he's battling up front at the moment. Oh, what a great stop. 5.12 seconds from the VX Racing crew.
Brilliant stop there, and James will of course know that Muller's out of the race. He's only got to finish in second place. He'll take the championship lead.
So Matt Neal now choosing the moment to come into the pits, and you can see as he comes down the pit lane, he locks up the brakes to get down to the 40 miles an hour speed limit as he heads along pit lane. And of course, will he now come back out ahead of Thompson? We saw a very rapid stop from James Thompson, who had been running second to Matt Neal. Let's see whether Honda can match that. Very nearly, 5.8 seconds, but where is Thompson? Coming up the straight now. Here comes Matt Neal on the left of the picture, still going slowly on the speed limit. There's Thompson. Matt Neal's going to get out ahead, but Thompson's the one who's got pace and who's got warm tyres.
Yes, we see this so often. Great stop by Honda that time to get Matt Neal out front. It is a very hot day, so of course the tyres never getting too cool here, but we all know this is the main opportunities to strike when the car is first coming out of the pit stops. But Matt's got a good run onto the back straight.
Down the Revit straight, Matt Neal with about a car's length advantage over James Thompson. Is Thompson going to take a big risk here and go for the lead when he's in such a strong position anyway, as Ivan Muller has retired from this race? He may not be prepared to take too many risks. He slots in behind Matt Neal again. Matt Neal holds on to the lead for the moment. James Thompson follows him in second. Alan Morrison picking his way past the back markers, past the production class cars, and then this battle for fourth, led by Anthony Reid with Tom Chilton, and Colin Turkington has got past Collard now, but Collard's still leading in the independence class, and that's what he'll be concentrating on here. Turkington, oh, Matt Neal's run off the track, but he stays in front. He's gone across the grass down there at the chicane.
Okay, mate, you're coming up to the last lap. You've got 3.7 seconds to Morrison.
James Thompson reporting his engine sounds noisy, and he's losing pace as well. This is the last lap.
Well, let's just take a look back at the mistake from Matt Neal a moment ago. Came in very quick into the Russell chicane, over the grass, bounced over and still managed to stay in front of Thompson. But it sounds like Thompson's the one now in trouble. And as they head down the Revit straight, in fact, Thompson being passed by Alan Morrison. Morrison's nipped through into second. Can Thompson make it to the finish line? Is that car going to last?
Well, has this championship changed or what in this meeting? Muller must be rubbing hands with glee. Thompson is barely able to get around this last lap.
And he's been passed by Anthony Reid and that whole collection of cars following Reid. So suddenly Thompson, who looks so strong to get on terms with Muller, it's not going to happen. But Matt Neal is going to take his fourth win of the season. A great drive from Matt Neal, and he will beat... Oh, hang on, he's going very slowly. He's almost stopping before he's got to the line. Here comes his teammate, Alan Morrison. It's going to be a very close run thing to the line. Oh, and Matt Neal just wins it from his teammate. So Matt Neal had problems there as well. Anthony Reid comes home in third place. James Thompson stopping on circuit. What a dramatic climax.
I got a problem where it was selecting neutral, downshifting. First of all, it started doing it 6th to 5th, so it caught me out a few times into the first corner riches. And then it started coming all over the place, mainly in the lower gears, 4th to 3rd, 3rd to 2nd, so it was getting me into the too tight chicanes and the hairpins. So you get neutral and you just lock up your brakes and you carry straight on. So it was, they were saying keep the pedal down, and I was going, hang on a minute, mate, I've got a box full of neutrals here. But besides that, they just tweaked the setup from the first race, and the thing was on the money. It was sweet as a nut. It's the... Alan's proved it. Come through from the back. 1-2 for Honda Racing. Spot on.
Did you back off?
Well, just at the end, maybe when I knew I wasn't going to get them, I just sort of left it off. Just I wanted to bring the car home, so that's the most important thing.
Unfortunately, we had an engine failure. So, to be fair to the lads, they've done a fantastic job from last year, turning it round. You know, from the failures we had last year. It's our first one.
So despite his problems, Matt Neal stands high on the top of the podium, and Alan Morrison a superb job from all the way to the back to get a Honda 1-2. Matt Neal then first, then Morrison and Reid, Turkington fourth and then Chilton. Warren Hughes taking an 8th position this time. In the championship, Muller's lead now 163 points. James Thompson still firmly in second with 150. Then Matt Neal moves to third, ahead of Paul O'Neill. Luke Hines still out on top in the Production Drivers' Championship, but Blenko goes to second with 133. VX Racing still out, way ahead with 322 points, ahead of Honda and MG. Vauxhall leads the manufacturers with 393 now, ahead of Honda, MG losing ground just a little. And in the Independence Trophy, Robert Collard leads with 119 points, but it's close. At Brands Hatch for the second time round this season, Vauxhall were within striking distance of the Manufacturers' Championship. If they made it today, they would be the first ever team to take the title in 3 consecutive seasons. And it looked good for Vauxhall. Ivan Muller and James Thompson filled the front row. Then came Warren Hughes in the MG, Paul O'Neill in 4th place, then Colin Turkington 5th, Matt Neal taking 6th this time out, with Tom Chilton in 7th in the Honda, and Anthony Reid in 8th in the MG.
So the two big championship rivals on the front row together. There's Ivan Muller, on the outside it's James Thompson, and remember, getting off pole position here at Brands Hatch can be tricky. So will the Frenchman manage it, or will Thompson get him off the line? Let's see what happens. Right behind is the MG of Warren Hughes, then Paul O'Neill. Away we go then, and Ivan Muller actually gets away well from pole position. That's a great start. Alan Morrison's charging up from mid-grid as well, but it's Muller who's got in front. Thompson in a second, three-way battle for third. Matt Neal battling there with Warren Hughes, and they're still side by side as they come up towards Druids for the first time. Muller, Thompson, Hughes just ahead of Matt Neal.
Yes, a very even start there, but Muller just getting enough traction to drive off into the lead. All these front 4 cars running very light. It's Matt Neal that's got the difficult job with lots of weight on board.
Well, Matt Neal's in 4th position. Further back you can see the Independence class cars come through as well, and it looks to me as though Michael Bedward's made a good start in the production class. He's got into the lead of that class, but up through clearways for the first time. Bit of a slide there from one of the Protons. Let's see what happened to Alan Morrison. He made a good start here.
He gets the revs just right, just enough traction, and the car leaps away. He's been the best starter by far all this year. All the drivers will want to see this in-car tape.
Now further back you can see there's a battle going on here. Alan Morrison with Phil Bennett. Oh, and Bennett's hit Morrison. Round goes Morrison and off. Well, he hasn't hit the tyres too hard. I wonder if he can get going again there, Tim.
Yeah, Morrison's got going. He won't be very happy about that. Bennett came from a long, long way back, committed himself to a move that was never going to get him equally alongside, and it's dispatched Morrison and ended Bennett's race with a broken steering arm by the look of it.
As big battle going on around clearways. Turkington again trying to get past Matt Neal. This is the battle for 4th place. Pit lane's open now, and in fact Neal's come into the pit lane as O'Neill tried to dive up the inside of him.
Well, Turkington's finally got up the inside of Matt Neal, but it's Matt Neal's in-lap. And as Paul O'Neill's tried to follow Turkington through, he's nearly been forced down the pit lane a lap early.
Well, quite a few cars choosing this moment to come in. James Thompson's also in. Bit slow on this right front. There's a problem here. They still haven't done it up properly.
New wheel nut. They've had to fit a new wheel nut, and it's cost them about 3 or 4 seconds.
So finally James Thompson gets out, but remember, he was running second to Muller before the pit stops. That's surely going to drop him down the order. Turkington now leads the race. He's yet to make his pit stop, but we've seen that problem for James Thompson. I wonder if Turkington will be able to move ahead of him. It's good news for Warren Hughes as well. Now let's see what happens to Ivan Muller.
Well, the car's very slow coming up in the jacks. The mechanics were waiting. The car was very slow, and Muller stalled it. 9.8 seconds plus the stall.
So he now heads back out onto the circuit, but surely this is going to hurt him. As he comes out, there's Hughes, and Warren Hughes goes ahead of Ivan Muller. That's absolutely crucial. You can see James Thompson's even further back than that because he had a problem on his pit stop. Now, when everybody's made their pit stops, this is going to mean that Warren Hughes will be in front of the Vauxhalls. Paul O'Neill making his pit stop. Remember, he was a little further down anyway, so I don't think he'll come out near Hughes. Colin Turkington could benefit from all this as well. Let's see what happens to him as he makes his stop. Both front tyres are changed. Any problems? No, that looks pretty clean, and he's on his way again.
Excellent stop. The West Surrey Racing boys, and that's Dick Bennett's congratulating mechanics. They're going to leapfrog, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, Turkington comes out in front of Matt Neal, and of course they're both in front of James Thompson, and Hughes has usurped Muller for the lead.
Problems for Tom Boardman. He was leading in the production class, remember. There's damage to the front of that car, and he's asking for a push to get out of the way. He's up at the top of Clearways. Now I wonder what's happened. Let's see what happened to him.
On board with Boardman, and well, he's run straight across the curbs, and the car's gone straight on. I suspect he's broken the front suspension there when going over the curbs.
So, a bit of a hefty whack for Tom Boardman, as meanwhile Collard and Howell engaged in this tussle. Collard's now ahead, and Howell was bouncing over the grass a little bit coming out of Clearways. Oh, he goes down the inside. He's attacking into Paddock Hill Bend. Collard tries to hold him tight. Oh, they make contact. Collard goes off into the Paddock Hill gravel trap, and that's surely the end of his race. Very difficult to get out from there, and what a shame, because they were having such a brilliant dice. Meanwhile, Warren Hughes comes through. He's now leading. Muller is in second place, Turkington in third, and then further back, Matt Neal in fourth position. So despite Matt Neal getting past him a little while ago, Turkington has actually got him back. So we've got MGs running first and third. That's pretty remarkable after what has been a difficult season for them so far. Matt Neal still then working hard to keep ahead of these two Vauxhalls, James Thompson and Paul O'Neill, who's right behind Thompson here.
Well, Thompson's running a very lightweight car. He should have no difficulty getting past Matt Neal, but so far he hasn't found a way through.
And he's running out of time because we're on the last lap now, and the MG boys are getting ready to celebrate. Warren Hughes will take his first win of the season. About time too. Warren's had such a difficult year. He wins. Muller takes second place. Third place to Colin Turkington. Fourth place here to Matt Neal, just from James Thompson. So Thompson losing out in terms of that championship battle. Anthony Reid coming through in his MG as well. Oh, those boys are so happy. And Warren Hughes, who's had so many problems this year, finally gets a win.
This last couple of races have been dreadful, so I was really praying and looking forward to coming to Brands Hatch. It was, I was very focused for this weekend. And, the West Surrey MG have just given me a fantastic pit turnaround, and that's won us the race. That, credit has to go to them.
I'm absolutely over the moon. I started fifth in the race, and I knew I had a really good race balance in the car. Craig, my engineer, done a good job. So a great pit stop again by the guys, and I jumped a few of the Vauxhalls in the pits, so I'm really, really over the moon.
So, victory at last for Warren Hughes and MG. But Van Muller's second after Thompson's problems piled more pressure on his rivals. All this meant that Muller would be on the front row for round 16 at Brands, but watch out for those MGs.
So we're all set for another 35-lap encounter here at Brands Hatch. And let's see what happens as Warren Hughes tries to get off the line with all that ballast on board. But it's not going to happen for him because it's a great start from Ivan Muller from the outside of the front row. He leads into Paddock Hill Bend for the second time here today. He led initially in the first race. Oh, and Matt Neal's all out of shape. In trouble, he hits Thompson, and comes right across the track and into the tyres on the inside, and a potential race winner is out already.
Oh, that's disaster for Matt Neal. This was the race, having carried all the weight in the first race, where he could come back and fight with them on equal terms. But I think it was contact with James Thompson that started that off.
Well, look at the MGs now, because Colin Turkington's come up to second place, Hughes down to third, Reed in fourth place. So Ivan Muller's got a whole line of MGs behind him. Let's take another look at that start from on board Colin Turkington.
Yeah, good start by Turkington, and Muller in front. He's made 2 good starts today, even with the ballast on board. Turkington only up into third gear for the first lap here. He's going to have to short shift during the corner, fourth and then fifth on the way up, but he's on the outside now, so 2 good starts for Muller.
Now let's see what happened in the confrontation with Matt Neal.
Contact initially just coming into it. Matt gets it straightened out, but his wheels are pointing to the right, and it just spears him off into James Thompson and then in the barriers.
So it was contact with Thompson on the way in and on the way out of the corner. This was the view from Paul O'Neill.
Matt Neal on the left, just turning in, and there's James Thompson. They're both arriving at the same space at once. Matt controls the slide, but his wheels are pointing slightly to the right, and that fires him back across the road into James Thompson.
Well, Paul O'Neill was pretty fortunate not to get caught up in that. Let's take a look at the view from on board. Warren Hughes, he's in third place. His teammate Colin Turkington in second place. Hughes uses quite a wide line there, but it's Ivan Muller who leads this one. And with Anthony Reid also going well for MG, they're looking strong, but James Kay is in trouble in the pits in the Synchro Motorsport Honda. Reid, meanwhile, gets past Warren Hughes, and James Thompson will try to do likewise.
Anthony Reid wasting no time at all in getting past the heavyweight MG of first race winner Hughes. Good move that, but I think Warren was about to give him some room anyway.
Yes, he won't be quite so kind to James Thompson, I'm sure. He's not his teammate. He'll make life a little bit more difficult for the reigning champion. Up the hill towards Druids, but walking back, I'm afraid. Matt Neal, well, we thought he could have won this race, but off at the first corner. There's no way he's going to win it from there. James Thompson, meanwhile, side by side with Warren Hughes now. Hughes bouncing over the grass, over the curbs, and Thompson trying to go all the way around the outside. That's Paul O'Neill right behind them too.
Yeah, good defensive driving by Hughes. He's certainly let his 2 MG teammates in front get a nice little gap, and Thompson's now having to try and go around the outside.
So Thompson's got a little bit of an overlap here, but Warren Hughes is very late on the brakes, so they arrive side by side. There's a bit of contact. Thompson sideways. He's all crossed up. He's in the gravel. Oh, he's lost it. He's lost control, and he just keeps it out of the gravel. And amazingly, I don't think anyone else hits him. O'Neill gets a little nudge there from Morrison, but Thompson, the car is okay, but he's lost so many places, and his big rival Muller is leading this race. It's disaster in terms of the championship.
Thompson on the outside, Hughes on the inside. They go into the corner. There's the slightest of touch. Thompson flat on the throttle again, but the car just flicks round and comes back on him. A very unfortunate spin.
Well, once again, we were lucky we didn't see a number of cars piling into him. He has got going again. He might still be able to pick up some points, but he will be so frustrated. The VX crew looking on, but they do know that their other man, Ivan Muller, is still leading this race. He's being chased by Colin Turkington, and the youngster is not losing anything to the very experienced Muller. Third place for Anthony Reid. Into the pits has come Rob Collard, but he's been going rather slowly for half a lap, and I think there's more problems here for the Independence points leader. But into the pits now come the 2 race leaders, Ivan Muller and Colin Turkington. And Turkington made sure he was pretty close to Ivan Muller before they made this pit stop.
Vauxhall's pits so far this year, up until this weekend, have been exemplary, but it's the West Surrey Racing crew that have done it better this weekend. No problems there though for Muller. That's a good stop.
Yeah, no problem at all, and he doesn't stall it, which he did of course in race 1. But Colin Turkington maybe lost a length or 2, but not much to Ivan Muller. So both teams doing a good job of getting their cars back out as quickly as possible. Both out ahead of Anthony Reid, who has stopped already, of course, and we're waiting for everyone else now to make their stops. Paul O'Neill, he's under pressure from Alan Morrison, and these 2 have made their pit stops already. So this is a battle for position, and Morrison's looking particularly hungry. The Irishman trying to go round the outside of Paul O'Neill, but we know O'Neill's driving hard these days, and he doesn't give him any space. Now in the production class, Tom Boardman is in front of Michael Bentwood. Third place is Luke Hines, and he's being lapped by our overall race leaders. Ivan Muller still leads from Colin Turkington, but Turkington has lost very little ground to Ivan Muller throughout this race, and it's a mark really of how this youngster, in only his second year of touring car racing, has really improved and is able to push the top drivers every time. In this battle for third, things have got very much closer. Reed seems to have lost a bit of time. O'Neill that much closer to him. Meanwhile, Tom Chilton and David Leslie are still at it. Look at that contact as they come out of the hairpin, down the hill in towards Graham Hill Bend. They both survive, except the rear bumper comes off Chilton's car again.
Well, we've seen they're not held on very tight. David Leslie's fighting back immediately to try and get back that position he lost the lap before.
Well, the bumper left on track, so just on the apex of Graham Hill Bend. Meanwhile, Phil Bennett wants to join in the fun and games here. He's right behind, and well, we know we've got to add another bumper to the part supply list for this weekend. Oh, well, the safety car's been brought out, well, no doubt because of the debris around the circuit, presumably that bumper off down at Graham Hill Bend. And look at this, as the safety cars come out, Carl Breeze has come out of the pits and Anthony Reid's gone around the outside of him.
That's a definite no-no. Once the safety car's out, the cars have crossed the start-finish line, they must not pass. The big advantage for Anthony Reid as he passes the debris on the track is that he's put a car between himself and Paul O'Neill, and with the slow running of the safety car, he'll close right up behind Turkington and Muller.
Yes, this is going to make it a very exciting last lap because as the safety car comes in, when they cross the line this time, there will be just one lap to go. So Ivan Muller is in the lead, but of course everyone's bunched up close behind him. Can he hold on to take victory? This will be so crucial in terms of the championship because Thompson's way down the field at the moment, down towards Paddock Hill Bend. Colin Turkington right behind him. He looks a little bit of a break. He's gone wide. Muller's gone wide and Turkington's through. Turkington's gone into the lead and Muller's thrown away a possible race win here. Up towards Joyce and Reid's gone down the inside. He's hit Muller. They're both into the gravel on the outside, and Muller suddenly, from looking like a safe winner of the race here at Brands Hatch, he's dropped down the order. He is still going. He has rejoined, so has Reid, but he's lost very valuable points. Let's take another look at this.
Muller gets a great restart initially, but just runs wide and too deep into Paddock. There's all the temptation Turkington needs for a clean pass, and now Muller should defend the inside because he's got Anthony Reid, who sees the gap, goes for it. Oh, just takes them both into the gravel. Fortunately, they keep going, but really Muller left the door wide open there.
Yes, indeed. Let's just take another look at that. Reid sees a big gap and he puts the MG in there. On the brakes, they come to side contact, up into the gravel. They both keep the power on, they both keep going and rejoin, but they've lost several places as a result. Colin Turkington, though, is in front. This will be his first ever win in touring cars. What an achievement for the 21-year-old. A superb race. He put Muller under pressure the whole race long, and he's got his reward. He's coming through to win here at Brands Hatch. Turkington the winner. Second goes to Paul O'Neill. Third to Alan Morrison. Fourth to Anthony Reid despite the moment, and fifth place to Ivan Muller. Well, what a dramatic final lap to the race there. Colin Turkington becomes a new winner.
I was having a great race, and I was sitting comfortably in second place, and the safety car came out, and I knew Anthony was behind me, so I was hoping he was going to just keep my tail tidy, and then Ivan made a mistake at the first corner and just drove past, and I could not believe it. I can't know, lost for words.
Oh, and a double win for MG.
Yeah, it's fantastic for MG. That's 3 podiums or something we've had this weekend and 2 wins. It couldn't get any better.
Oh, well done you deserve it.
Thanks.
Well done, mate.
It was great, and everyone drove, like Tim Harvey, bashing off the track now. But no, it's been a really good effort for VX Racing. I think I've got third back in the championship, but a couple of naughty moves I thought in the whole race, so yeah.
So Colin Turkington has made his mark on the BTCC with his first ever victory, crowning a fantastic weekend for MG, who took both races. A mixed weekend, though, for Ivan Muller, who extended his lead but was given an 11-day ban for an altercation in Parc Fermé. And in the Touring Car Drivers' Championship, Ivan Muller with 183 points. James Thompson now has 158, with Paul O'Neill third with 119, just ahead of Matt Neal. Luke Hines still leads the Production Drivers' Championship with 184 points. Michael Bentwood is second with 150, just one ahead of Alan Blenko. But VX Racing way out on top with 348 to Honda's 247 in the Teams' Championship. And in the manufacturers, Vauxhall make history by getting 3 consecutive championships with 425. They can't be stopped now. And in the Independence Trophy, Robert Collard now leads with 119 points. Next up was Donington Park in the East Midlands, where Ivan Muller could possibly take the championship. After a points recalculation, he was 27 ahead. But that 11-day ban would take its toll. It meant he was qualifying without a practice day. And then disaster struck as the Vauxhall blew a fuse.
The engine stopped completely, John. I can't come in. I have no starter motor anymore.
So James Thompson is in pole position and he takes a bonus point ahead of Matt Neal and Robert Collard with a best qualifying of third alongside Tom Chilton. Paul O'Neill fifth, Alan Morrison sixth, Anthony Reid in seventh, and then Carl Breeze in eighth. But no Breeze for Muller, he was at the back.
So here we go then, all set for 25 laps of the Donington Park circuit. This 1.9-mile track, a popular one with the drivers. Let's see how they get on. Oh, and a great start there from Matt Neal from the front row and from Alan Morrison as well in the other Honda. Both Hondas getting off extremely well, but James Thompson now busily having to defend second place. Matt Neal so far in front, he can take a wide line into the first corner. Keep an eye out for Ivan Muller trying to push his way up through the order. They do make it through Redgate safely. Second place for Thompson. Great battle for third place. Rob Collard leading Independence trying to get in there, and he's side by side with Paul O'Neill. He takes third place.
Brilliant driving by Rob Collard. He forced the issue there. He doesn't want to lose that third position. He worked so hard to gain on the qualifying. But a good start again for Matt Neal, as you say. He's out in front. Oh, and that's Leslie off.
David Leslie, big smash against the tyre barrier. That's on the exit of the old hairpin. Oh, that's very much the end of the race for him, so we've lost one on this first lap, and there's a marker post going in the background. Matt Neal leads, James Thompson. Carl Breeze, meanwhile, busily defending here from Warren Hughes in the mid-pack. Oh, and Bennett sideways in front of Muller. Muller's hit him. As he was sideways in front of him, Muller carries on. Bennett continues as well. And meanwhile, this is a replay.
Well, Bennett's really in the thick of action here. He just tags the back of David Leslie car with some congestion coming out of the old hairpin, and it fires Leslie off. Well, this is on board with Muller, and there's still the congestion, and suddenly he's got Bennett sideways across the front of them. He only just gets through. He could so easily have been in the gravel then.
Meanwhile, David Leslie back at the pits. The two Proton boys are out. Phil Bennett there as well. There was contact between them. But coming down the inside, that's Ivan Muller. That is Muller coming from the back of the touring class grid. He gives Collard a little bit of a nudge out there, and Muller's gradually making up ground.
Muller's made up a lot of places, remember, from the back of the grid, but he hasn't lost too much in distance to the leader, so he's still in with a chance.
Alan Morrison runs a little bit wide there. That gives Warren Hughes the chance to nudge alongside. Not quite there. Oh, and problems for Gareth Howell. So that's one of our leading independent runners in the race out. Here is our race leader. It is Matt Neal, just with a few car lengths over James Thompson.
Yes, and it'll be a tactical battle now to see who decides to stop first. The other car will surely stop the following lap, and it'll be a battle of the pit crews. And it's Thompson in first.
Well, James Thompson, the reigning champion. He wrapped up his title here at Donington last year. Matt Neal is now on his own, so he can just concentrate on getting his head down and trying to put together some quick laps, or a quick lap perhaps, before he makes his pit stop. Now then, good stop there from VX Racing. Thompson's on his way, and look, he comes out as Warren Hughes comes in.
Yeah, just a small delay in the pits. If he gets stuck behind a car coming in, could make all the difference, but he had a good clean stop, as did Warren Hughes.
So Thompson's back on circuit now, and we'll just have to wait for Matt Neal to make his pit stop to see whether the positions remain the same after the stops. Here is Matt Neal then, coming towards the end of the lap. Is he going to come in this time? It looks like it. Yes, he holds it tight into the pit lane, onto the speed limit. Oh, meanwhile, Danny Buxton's taking a rather wild ride out on the grass, and he's involved in a bit of a battle here. Paul Wallace just going through, and Paul O'Neill slides past as well. But what's going on in the pits? Crucial battle at the moment. Matt Neal, there he is, changing those front tyres. Taking a little bit of time. There's a little bit of a problem on that right front.
Well, a few seconds extra in the pits, that could be all the difference, and that could put Thompson in front.
Ivan Muller's in, and he's flexing his muscles once again. Look, Thompson is ahead of Matt Neal, as you said, Tim. That tiny amount of time they lost, enough for him to drop to second. Muller, though, still climbing his way back up through the field, and that should bring him back out to about 6th place. So he's on for scoring some decent points here. Carl Breeze and Rob Collard, the two battling away for independent honours there, and Tom Chilton right behind as well. So Chilton trying to make up. He made a rather poor getaway, a slightly slow start, but now he's beginning to make his presence felt. And look, he's right behind Collard as they come down towards the chicane. He goes down the inside, and despite Rob Collard locking up, Chilton goes through. A little bit wide on the first part, and that gives Collard the chance to come back at him.
He's got back, but he's on the wrong side as they approach Redgate. Chilton's on the inside and should be able to hold this position easily, but there's a chance Collard could cut back inside him if he gets it just right on the exit.
So now Collard looking for the opportunity. Chilton's a little bit wide on the exit, and that does give Collard the chance to get alongside. Now this is the dauntingly fast crane of curves, flat out down here. He's slightly offline with Collard, and Chilton gets sideways. Oh, that's such a high-speed corner to be doing that, and they're still side by side.
That was great driving by both of them, fully committed down the craners at 135 miles an hour, but giving each other room, and Chilton did well to hold the car in tight and not give Collard a bash on the exit.
Still side by side as they come up towards McLean's. It is Collard trying to get past and stay in front once again of Tom Chilton, but Chilton's not giving up at all. He's having a look up the inside into Coppice now, and again, he hits the curb, almost bounces into Collard, but Collard sensibly just keeping it out wide enough to give him room. Now, let's take a look at this. Paul O'Neill battling with Warren Hughes. A bit furious between these two at the moment. They're still side by side as they come down into the chicane. O'Neill just squeezes ahead of the MG, and Warren Hughes, who won at the last race meeting, of course, at Brands Hatch, has to just drop in behind him once again. These two battling for third then. Behind them is Ivan Muller, and just look at how Muller's managed to catch up over the last couple of laps. He's rather dropped Alan Morrison, and Muller now is beginning to feature, and that VX Racing crew very aware that Muller could score some more points here if he can find a way past them. Here our race leader, James Thompson, still under threat from Matt Neal.
James had a useful little lead after the pit stop, but Matt has hunted him down and hunted him down. There's always a little bit of difference in the car's balance on new tyres and scrub tyres after the pit stop. It looks like Matt Neal's really got his car working well, and he'll be looking for that victory every bit as much as Thompson wants to hold on to it.
Here we are on board with Ivan Muller then, running in 5th place. That's Warren Hughes right ahead of us. And then Paul O'Neill again, that little flex of the right arm from Ivan Muller. He means business. He knows if he could get past these two, he could end up on the podium. What a result that would be. Meanwhile, Hughes goes down the inside of Paul O'Neill into the chicane. Now this will slow them both up. Here's a chance for Muller. He comes through between the two of them, and that's going past the MG. He jiggles in between. Now I'm not quite sure where Paul O'Neill is. Well, he's still alongside, but Ivan Muller virtually taking both of them in one move. O'Neill still trying to fend him off. He's got the inside line into Redgate, and so Muller's going to try and cut back on the exit.
Muller's trying to grab every opportunity he can to gain an extra place, but here he is side by side with Paul O'Neill, and let's not forget these two have had their run-ins before, but he's clearly through now, and he's taken the MG through as well.
Yes, Warren Hughes manages to get past Paul O'Neill. Meanwhile, the two leaders are even closer together as they come up towards McLean's, and Matt Neal makes a lunge. He's hit James Thompson. He's through. He's in front, although Thompson's still with him. He might try and get back across in front of him into Coppice. I'm not sure he's going to do it, though. Matt Neal's got the advantage, and Matt Neal, a robust move there. Let's take another look at it.
Well, this is looking back, and look at that. There was half a gap, and suddenly it was full of red Honda. Matt Neal saw his chance. He knew he could use that lowered curb on the apex, and he just threw the car up there. A great pass.
And what a time to do it as well. Almost within sight of the checker flag, the closing stages of the race. Matt Neal has timed this move to perfection, and he's just now got to defend a little bit from James Thompson to wrap up the victory. Thompson has a think about it at the chicane, but Matt Neal has everything blocked off, and it is Matt Neal that's going to take victory to the delight of the Honda Racing crew. Matt Neal wins. James Thompson has to settle for 2nd place. In the production class, it's a good win for Luke Hines, almost wrapping up the title for him, not quite yet. And what a drive it's been from this man, Ivan Muller, from 17th on the grid. He's finished in 3rd, and in terms of the championship, that's crucial.
Can you just tell us how difficult it was in that race? Because you barely put a lap out here, haven't you, at Donington, because you couldn't do free practice and you had problems at qualifying.
Yeah, the few first lap I had to look a bit the track at least to see how the car reacts, and of course the balance was not like I wanted, but I asked a small change on the pit stop, and that was a bit better, and then I had a good opportunity when the two cars in front of me fight together, and that helped me to be on the podium.
So victory for Matt Neal, but what a drive from Ivan Muller to take third. It also meant he was back to third on the grid for round 18. Meanwhile, Luke Hines needed one more victory to take the production class championship.
So we're all set for battle once again. Now then, can Matt Neal make it 2 out of 2? Honda have yet to do that in the 2003 season. Away we go then. Oh, a bit of tyre smoke from Matt Neal. Not the best getaway, I don't think, this time from the Honda. No, look, James Thompson making a much better start than he did in race 1. And it's Thompson who's ahead, Muller trying to follow him, and it's Warren Hughes trying to go around the outside there in the MG, but he gets it all crossed up.
Well, there's contact there at the first corner between Matt Neal, Warren Hughes, and it's Morrison that's been flung off the road. He's on the inside, his race is run. Well, he would have had a great chance in this race, but what a reversal of fortunes. Normally it's Matt Neal that makes a good start and Thompson struggles. This time it was the other way around.
But look up front, Muller's on the attack of Thompson, the two Vauxhalls together, and Muller dives up the inside into McLean's, the same corner that Matt Neal passed James Thompson in race 1. This time without contact, Muller goes ahead. Well, there's problems there for Jim Edwards, damage done to the left front on that car. Meanwhile, up the hill, here comes Ivan Muller. Look how he's opened the gap up to James Thompson, and it's Matt Neal in trouble now because here comes Turkington. Turking an audacious manoeuvre to go through virtually on the grass.
Well, I don't think I've ever seen that. That MG works as well on the grass as it does on the track, but he hasn't got through yet, although he's trying very hard.
He's using every inch of tarmac and grass. A little bit of a nudge there between them. Nothing too serious, and Turkington is now into third place, and Matt Neal just seems to be struggling for pace a little.
Yeah, Matt Neal held on to the Vauxhalls very well at the start of the race, but I suspect he's got some niggling little problem here. He's not got the normal pace he would have.
So back down towards the chicane, and Matt Neal's perhaps just got to look after the car and hope it makes it all the way, but Turkington really on a charge. Look at the dust through there. Still into the pits now comes Anthony Reid and Matt Neal. So early pit stops. Also already into the pits is James Thompson. He was in second place, remember, to his championship rival Ivan Muller.
New tyres on that car. Good stop by BX Racing, 5.5 seconds. That's a great stop. Matt Neal's car, evidence there of the little tap with Morrison at the front. That's a good stop by Honda as well.
So he gets away cleanly. He did lose a little bit of time in the first race in the pits, but it looked very even with the VX Racing crew this time. Thompson and Matt Neal rejoining the circuit, but quite a few cars have yet to make their pit stop, including, of course, the outright race leader currently. That is Ivan Muller, and Muller stays out for the moment, not choosing to come back in. He just wants to get in some quick laps. He looks pretty happy on this set of tyres, and he's worked hard from the beginning in this one.
Muller electing to go a little bit longer, which will give him fresher tyres at the end of the race. He may well need them because this race is fairly hot.
Colin Turkington, he's been charging, hasn't he? Had a problem in the first race, but he's back into the battle in this one. He was in third place, remember, before he came into the pits. He comes back out, and he's still going to be behind James Thompson, but not that far behind James Thompson. And if we see the same sort of pace from Turkington in the second half of the race, running no ballast, of course, on that car after a bad result earlier, he could well put the pressure on the champion. In comes our race leader, and it's Ivan Muller. Now, he desperately needs a good stop here, of course, to try and stay in front.
Watch how late he peels into the pit box. That's the new regulation. You can't veer in, you have to peel in dramatically. Stretches that arm out, that's his relaxation mannerism. Checks the mirror, is anyone coming down the pit lane? No, go!
Great stop once again. No problems at all for Ivan Muller. Now he's just got to look over to the right as he gets on the power off the speed limiter. Who's coming down there? Nobody. Well, there's James Thompson behind him. So Muller rejoins in front effectively. One or two people still to make their pit stops, but of those that have stopped, Ivan Muller safely back out ahead of all the others. Now look at this. James Thompson and Colin Turkington absolutely together now, and Turkington really putting the reigning champion under pressure, trying to go around the outside this time. We saw him go around the inside of Matt Neal earlier. Now he's going around the outside, and this gives him the favoured line into McLean's.
That was a perfect move. His MG is really quick through that old hairpin, and don't his boys just love it? So he's managed to carry the momentum up. Further back, this is Warren Hughes and Matt Neal battling it out.
Yeah, this was down into the chicane just a moment ago, and Hughes took a bit of a lunge down the inside and managed to get past Matt Neal. Does seem as though Neal's struggling a little. Turkington into second place then, down towards the old hairpin. Thompson still giving no pressure, and Turkington's gone wide there. That will cost him a little bit.
Well, he's going to get the same manoeuvre put back on him that he did to Thompson, and that's a real shame, because if he'd managed to stay in front through that section, he would undoubtedly have had a good chance to chase down after Muller, but he's really just lost it there through a little bit of over-exuberance.
So Thompson gets back in front. What a great dice this is between these two. Thompson, the experienced campaigner, the reigning champion. Turkington only in his second season in the touring class, and this is keeping everyone entertained. It's a very clean battle so far. There's been virtually no contact, and here comes Turkington again trying to get it back.
Yeah, he's going to do it this time. Don't forget, James Thompson wants this second place as much as anything. There's still a chance. Anything can happen to Muller. He will fight for every position, but great driving by Turkington. Now let's see if he can get the hammer down and get after Muller, but of course, with all their shenanigans, Muller's increased his lead.
Yes, Muller has got away up front. Turkington still has to defend from James Thompson. And look, Matt Neal's been under yet more threat from Anthony Reid, and this time Neal's brakes so late that he had no option but to take to the grass into the chicane, and that has allowed Anthony Reid to gain the position. So Matt Neal's just dropping further and further down the order. This battle for second place is still not over. James Thompson is still keeping the pressure on Colin Turkington.
This is great racing. They've given each other just enough room to race side by side round virtually all of the circuit, and it's really good to see.
Well, they're running out of time because Ivan Muller's coming down to the last corner. A couple of production class cars getting into a bit of a battle as well, over the line virtually, but it's Muller who wins race 2 at Donington. Second place is just going to go to Colin Turkington after a superb battle with James Thompson. And who's going to take fourth? Well, it looks like it's going to be Paul O'Neill just on the line. Paul O'Neill holds on to fourth place ahead of Alan Morrison and Tom Chilton. Matt Neal dropping back in the latter stages.
All the weekend we were frustrated with my team. We were looking the other one drive. We couldn't work, and qualifying we had a small problem. And of course I'm pleased for Vauxhall because we won the title with the manufacturer. But again, I will never say enough. I'm pleased for my guys' work on my car because they should be on the podium with me.
So what a weekend for the Frenchman Ivan Muller. He left Brands under a cloud, but he leaves Donington with virtually an unassailable position for the championship. With just 2 rounds left, Muller has a 29-point lead ahead of Thompson, and Matt Neal now in third place, equal with Paul O'Neill. That battle will continue for the last 2 rounds. In the Production Drivers' Championship, Luke Hines takes the title with 214 points.
The last few laps, I didn't know what to do. Just thought, right, keep it on the circuit and did all the procedures, and I was still sticking in.
Luke's done a great job. He's had speed there. His starts were dodgy at the beginning of the year. He sorted those out finally. Now he's getting off the line all right. You know, there was a great way to win it with a first and a second. Fantastic.
VX Racing now has 395 points in the Teams Championship, and Honda are clear second with 277. In the manufacturers, Vauxhall with 485 to Honda's 293, with MG catching up slightly with 201. Robert Collard now leads by just 1 point over James Kay in the Independence Trophy. So to Alton Park for the deciding rounds of the BTCC 2003. Ivan Muller has that 29-point lead, and many would say he's nearly there. All he has to do is finish in the points in any of the races, and he's won it. James Thompson was pole positioned yet again by just 0.2 from Anthony Reid, then Matt Neal in third, Paul O'Neill in fourth, then Ivan Muller in fifth, and he only needs to finish fifth in this race to take the title. Tom Chilton in the Honda 7th, Warren Hughes 8th, and Colin Turkington 9th.
Right, here we go then. All set. Is Ivan Muller going to wrap up the title in this race? He starts in the third row. James Thompson starts from pole position with it all to do. And away we go. Thompson gets off the line pretty well. So does Anthony Reid, but that's a great start from the Honda of Alan Morrison. Morrison absolutely charging from the third row of the grid, and he's up into second place ahead of his teammate Matt Neal and ahead of Anthony Reid.
James Thompson will be delighted to have got off the grid and into that first corner first. He's so desperate to convert that pole position into a win. But you're right, Alan Morrison, demon starter, third row of the grid in front of his teammate Matt Neal.
So Morrison, we've seen him so often. Oh, and then there's another Honda. That's Tom Chilton bouncing over the grass. It almost went up on the end, but he's managed to gather it back together. Hopefully he can rejoin the tarmac. Up front, the battle between James Thompson and Alan Morrison, with Matt Neal coming under some pretty serious pressure from Anthony Reid. Let's look back at the start.
Well, once again, Morrison gets the revs, the clutch and the throttle absolutely perfect and just picks up the traction, storms through the second row, cuts in front of Matt here and gets a brilliant drive out of that first corner.
A masterclass in how to get a car off the line. Let's take another look back at what happened to Tom Chilton. Round the outside at Cascades he went and ran out of room.
Well, Tom's carried far too much speed into the corner, got out onto the grass, and he was so lucky that car didn't turn turtle over the front.
So James Thompson leads, second place for Alan Morrison, third is Matt Neal under pressure from Anthony Reid. The rest of them coming through. Rob Collard is leading in the independence class. That's exactly what he needs at the moment. But up front it is James Thompson doing what he's required to do. Ivan Muller though in fifth place, that's all he needs. As Anthony Reid there goes on the attack.
Well, Anthony's the last burst you want to your mirrors. We've seen how aggressive he is this year. Matt Neal will be desperate to do well in this final meeting, as will everybody. But fortunately, we've not had any crashing so far. But Reid on the outside, he'll try and cut back. He's dragged Matt Neal wide, and that's a perfect switchback. Good move by Anthony.
So can he now make sure of this place? Because Matt Neal is still there. He's still on the outside. First place is Thompson. Oh, we've got a couple of cars off. Fuller and Jay Wheels have got off together, and Tom Chilton joins them. Oh, and problems for Paul O'Neill as well. And remember, the battle for third place in the championship is at a crucial stage, and the cars just stopped. So, early pit stop, and Matt Neal, he just made it in there in time, getting on the brakes at the last possible moment. And the Honda Racing crew go to work. Brand new tyres, as you can see, stickers on the front there. Good, clean stop. He gets underway once again. Colin Turkington's in the pits at the same time. So is Phil Bennett. And so is the independent runner Paul Wallace. There's Wallace. They're getting him out cleanly as well. So everybody seemed to have a pretty good stop. And here comes Matt Neal to rejoin.
Yeah, at this stage of the year, all the teams really well drilled in their pit stops and averaging 5.5, 6 seconds for a good stop. But look at this. Tom Bourman's past Matt Neal coming out of the pits, and this is the last thing Matt wants. He doesn't want the slower production class cars in front of him. He wants to pass him straight away, but he's still on his cold tyres.
Well, Tom Bourman's, of course, in a massive battle with Alan Blenko, so he doesn't want to give any ground, and Matt Neal's locked up, and he's gone straight on down at the island hairpin. He could just make it round, I think, but this is going to lose him a great deal of time.
Yeah, as you can see, all the time he's lost, but that's real just frustration. Here we see a replay. There's a little crest in the road there. The car goes light, and Matt just hasn't got enough grip on his cold front tyres to stop that Honda.
So James Thompson comes in from the lead of this race, making a slightly later stop than some of the others. Warren Hughes also into the pits, just behind, as you can see, in the MG. So a battle in the pit lane between the respective teams. Once again, VX Racing incredibly rapid, out in 5 3/4 seconds, 6.5 seconds for Warren Hughes.
Fractions of a second, but it all equates to time lost on the track.
Ivan Muller is in. He's playing it fairly cautiously at the moment. He gets a good, clean pit stop. That's what he needs. And let's see where this brings him back out. Because, of course, we've seen one or two drivers have problems either on their pit stops or on their outlap. And I think Muller would have moved up to third place as a result of that. But Matt Neal, between the two MGs there of Colin Turkington and Anthony Reid.
Turkington just a little bit wide on the brakes, and that's let Matt Neal get inside. And that man, Anthony Reid, never backwards in coming forward. He's stuffed his nose inside to Colin Turkington on the run down to Knickerbrook.
So let's see whether he holds on to it. Anthony Reid there on the inside with the green windscreen stripe. He's just ahead of his own teammate Colin Turkington. We're looking back at the youngster who's had such a good run. Oh, contact between Reid and Matt Neal. Neal's completely sideways. Reid goes to the inside. Turkington goes to the outside. Reid's on the grass. Turkington almost on the grass as well. Side by side up the hill, and somehow they're still all there. As Ivan Muller in third place. Another podium finish beckons, and that is certainly going to be enough for Muller to wrap up the title, but he still has to finish this race. James Thompson is leading the race in the overall touring category. He's coming up to lap Michael Bentwood in the BMW, but this is a perfect performance from what it looks like is the outgoing champion. Meanwhile, look at Rob Collard. He's still on the attack, but what's the problem for Matt Neal? Suddenly, Matt Neal's going rather slowly.
Matt Neal's dropped a long way back to be caught by Rob Collard, and he's taking a tight line. He's obviously got a problem, and if the rest of this pack pass him, he's not even going to get a point. And remember, Paul O'Neill is watching on the sidelines in their private battle for third place.
There's nothing Matt Neal can do. Look, his arm up in exasperation, everyone pouring past him. James Kay gets through as well, and Matt Neal dropping down the order. It's the last lap. James Thompson is going to come through and take victory. He's done everything that he could do. He took pole position, he's taken the win, but he's not going to take the title. Alan Morrison finished second, but it's Muller. It's Muller. He's champion.
Well done, thanks. Hey, Van, you're the man, mate. You're the man.
The team absolutely delighted as well. And Ivan Muller's finally done it. He's wrapped up this title. There's still one race to go, but Ivan has achieved his goal.
So that third place finally brought Ivan Muller his BTCC title. He went close last year, but 2003 proved to be his year. Ivan Muller flying the French flag at the British Touring Car Championship.
Well done, congratulations. Was that a good race for you?
Yeah, but it was the 25 lap, the longest of my life.
I can imagine.
It was very, very long, and even when I passing on my board, I was not looking how many laps it was left because it was so long. It was terrible.
Were you worried at all about, because Paul O'Neill had problems with his car, did you think gremlins would hit yours?
I was worried before the pit stop because I had a small misfire. And then the misfire went a bit worse, and then it stays constant. So fortunately, it wasn't worse than the beginning.
You know, what can I say? He's done a fantastic job this year. You know, certainly better off the line and better in the races for most of the year than me. Albeit, you know, I've started from pole position 6 times this year. You know, and after qualifying, so yeah, a little tinge of disappointment, but you know, it's a fantastic trophy, and I think it would be a shame if his name wasn't on it at some stage.
So James Thompson won the battle, but Ivan Muller won the war. Now third place was yet to be decided. 3 men could take it, and Rob Collard was driving for the Independence Trophy in the final round.
So, all set to go then. The final race of 2003. James Thompson starting from pole position. Can he take a double win here at Oulton Park? Away they go then. And it's such a shame we haven't got Alan Morrison. He's stranded in the pits. Matt Neal making a good start up on the outside. With Morrison out, I suppose one of the Hondas has to start well, and he's the only Honda in there because Tom Chilton hasn't been able to make the start, and the 3 MGs fighting together as they head round through the first couple of corners. But Thompson's away well, Muller's in second, and just look at that cement dust.
Yeah, the cement dust down from Warren Hughes' car on the parade lap, very overfilled with oil, but Thompson will be pleased. He's made 2 good starts from pole so far today. He'll want to carry that through to next year. But the man screaming down the outside is definitely Matt Neal. And look, watch him here. He goes round the outside of Collard, and Howell gets a great run into the first corner. Here we are on board. Collard's got a bit too much wheel spin. Matt just hooked it out. He borrowed a start out of Alan Morrison's book, ran all the way around the outside, and for once doesn't get collected. But look what he's got in front of him. 3 MGs. He spent the first race battling with them. Looks like he's set to do it again.
Well, that could make life very entertaining, but what great disappointment for Alan Morrison. That front row start that he'd earned, all gone with problems. It looks like some kind of steering problem they're reporting, so what a shame for Morrison. Across the line, Thompson leads. Look at this, Matt Neal's on the charge, almost in the pit wall as he gets past Warren Hughes.
That was close to disaster, but Matt knows he's got to strike early if he's got any chance.
Meanwhile, Marvin Humphreys keeping an eye on what Paul O'Neill is doing in his progress, but again, O'Neill is now stuck behind another of the Peugeots. He's got past Buxton, but he's behind Dan Eves.
Yeah, the Peugeot's going a little bit better this weekend. They've made progress all throughout this year. They're finally starting to get a bit of pace, but that's not what Paul O'Neill wants to see. Fortunately, he's got a gap there on the island hairpin. Got inside, you can see Eves on his outside. He should be clear, but the Peugeot hooks up quite well. Paul has the inside line for the hairpin though, so he should get past. Back up the front, and a great dive still going on for third place. Matt Neal dives up the inside of Anthony Reid and makes it through, so he's up into third, just the two Vauxhalls in front.
Well, that was fantastic from Matt Neal, and now Colin Turkington's taking advantage of that and also moving past his more experienced teammate. There he is on the inside of Anthony Reid. Reid trying to hold him round the outside. Don't push each other off, boys. You're still teammates at the moment. You've got to work together. But Thompson's in trouble. Thompson's pulled off. What a shame, the man who was leading the race. Let's look back and see if we can work out what went wrong.
Well, listen to that engine. It's gone completely flat. I think the team discovered an engine problem just before the start of this race, and there wasn't time to change it, so perhaps James not surprised that it's gone bang after such a short time in this race, but not the way he'd like to finish the year. But the pit stop starting.
Yes, into the pits comes Matt Neal from second position, and it's an early stop once again. Let's see whether they get him away cleanly. Yes, they do. Not too much time lost. Meanwhile, Danny Buxton has a spin. It looks like a harmless spin. And now the pits are really beginning to get busy. A host of cars coming in, including James Kay, trying to chase Rob Collard in the points for the independent class, remember. But it is Gareth Howell doing another fine job in the independence class, leading that category as Tom Boardman has got back in front of Luke Hines. What a dice between these two. They've really been the stars of the production field this year, winning most of the races between them. Also into the pits, here is Ivan Muller. Now, can he win the final race of the year? It's going to be a battle between him and Matt Neal. Neal's already out there, but where is he? Let's have a look. Quick look at, there's Neal, just gone through. Matt Neal will end up in front of Ivan Muller.
Now here's Gareth Howell. He's leading the independents. He won the first race. The Team Dynamics team have really got this car dialed in, but really Gareth Howell's had a very strong last meeting in Team Dynamics Astra.
Yeah, it's good to see. He only came in for the latter part of the season, locks up the brakes into Knickerbrook, but he's got it all under control. And Gareth Howell has been the class of the Hilton Independent Trophy racers here this weekend. Collard, of course, has to focus on getting points in the championship, but nonetheless, Gareth Howell really has got it together here at Alton Park. But not together at all is James Kay.
Well, he's off in a very strange place at the exit of Knickerbrook there. Let's see what happens. Turns in, over the curb, that just releases the rear and it just comes round on him. He tries to get on the power and save it, but momentum takes over there, James, I'm afraid, and he's spun out.
Meanwhile, up front, it is Matt Neal. And Matt Neal has had a very strong season, of course, not quite the consistency from Honda Racing. Generally, they had a few problems in the start of the year, but he's going on to the final lap here at Alton Park, and he's looking for win number 6 this season, and he's got a good margin, I have to say, over Ivan Muller in second place.
Well, assuming he wins, this will mean he matches Ivan Muller's win total of 6 races, and one can only say what might have been had he had slightly better reliability and better teamwork at the start of the year. But overall, a fantastic year for Matt Neal, the dominant driver in the Honda team, and Honda showing once again they're capable of winning at any track.
Yes, indeed. They've won at 6 of the 9 different circuits this year. It shows that this car is on the pace. Silverstone was an absolute disaster for Matt Neal. He led the first race and had electrical failure. He was third in the second race, had a drive shaft failure, and that really, I think, is probably the meeting that knocked his championship aspirations on the head. But he still comes back fighting every time out. He's always been a hard charger this year, and it does look as though he's going to take the last win of the season. Ivan Muller's running in a fairly comfortable second place at the moment, but he's not in a position to challenge.
No, comfortable race win, and we haven't seen the expected crash fest that so often accompanies the last touring car meeting of the year. Today it's been good, clean racing, and Matt Neal none better than him from 12th on the grid.
So Honda won the last race of the 2002 season with Alan Morrison at the wheel, and it looks as though they're going to win the last race of the 2003 championship with Matt Neal at the wheel. A perfectly driven race. He came from a long way down on the grid. He was 12th on the grid. A brilliant start. He fought his way through, and Matt Neal takes the final victory of the season. He beats the new champion Ivan Muller to second place, and Colin Turkington comes through to take another podium finish ahead of his teammate and great rival Anthony Reid. And here comes Rob Collard. Gareth Howell has won the class in this race. There's Gareth, brilliant job from him. But Collard has won the Hilton Independence Trophy. A superb achievement for Rob and for the whole team, and he must be absolutely over the moon. That's his wife Deborah. The emotion just a little bit too much at this stage after Rob Collard has finally wrapped up that Hilton Independent Trophy in the very last race of the season.
So Matt Neal took the final race win of the year and third place overall. Ivan Muller wasn't too disappointed with his second place, and Rob Collard was delighted, taking the Independence Trophy with that final round victory.
It's a fantastic way to end the season.
Oh, fantastic for me, for Honda Racing, you know, for Dunlop and everybody who are involved in the car and the effort. It's for all the boys, because the pit stop really won us that. They leapfrogged us in front of Ivan, and that was the one for the team.
So here are the final standings for the 2003 season. Apart from Ivan Muller, there were plenty of other notable performances. Paul O'Neill, a youngster coming through, a good finish by him. And likewise to Colin Turkington, 97 points. In the Independence Trophy, Robert Collard then takes victory with 160 points, ahead of James Kay in second place, and Carl Breeze 10 points behind him. So that's another season done and dusted for the British Touring Car Championship. And at last it was Ivan Muller's year.